gotten away with murder, Neighborhood Watch volunteer George Zimmerman has filed a $100 million lawsuit against the family of Trayvon Martin and attorney Ben Crump, claiming that they engineered false evidence against him. The Mind Unleashed reports that Zimmerman, who was acquitted of homicide charges in the 2012 shooting death of 17-year-old Trayvon Martin, is being represented by high-profile lawyer, founder of Judicial Watch and Freedom Watch, and former U.S. Department of Justice prosecutor Larry Klayman, in a lawsuit seeking damages for defamation, abuse of civil process, and conspiracy. Martin was shot and killed February 26, 2012, when he was returning to his father's home, whom he was visiting, after purchasing candy at a local store. Zimmerman reported Martin as suspicious in a call to police. Zimmerman claims he followed Martin after making the call and was attacked by the teen before killing him. Martin was unarmed, carrying only the Skittles and a drink he had just purchased. The Trump administration on Wednesday announced new measures that would end food stamp benefits for nearly 750,000 low-income people. The new rules would make it difficult for states to gain waivers from a requirement that beneficiaries work or participate in a vocational training program, according to a report from Bloomberg. Republicans have long attempted to make the change. House Republicans tried to cut parts of the federal food assistance program last year, but it was quickly rejected in the Senate. The new requirements by the Trump administration would only target able-bodied recipients who are not caring for children under the age of 6. Sources said the measure would be one of 3 enacted by the Trump administration to wind down the massive federal food assistance program. The measures are expected to boot nearly 3.7 million recipients from the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, known as SNAP. Support for the Liberty Beat comes from the Conscious Resistance Network, featuring videos, news reports, and articles from a spiritual anarchist perspective. Experience the Conscious Resistance at theconsciousresistance.com. How would you like to have your business featured on the Liberty Beat? You can. Just send an email to libertybeat@snls.news for details. This is the Liberty Beat, produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. The Liberty Beat is online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow, reporting for the Liberty Beat, reminding you, spread liberty with a smile.
Here is the Onion Weekend Review Transportation Edition. In Albany, a Greyhound bus crash claimed 30 miserable lives Tuesday, finally putting over 24 deadbeat fathers, penniless drug addicts, and hapless bastards out of their misery. Emergency crews at the scene of the merciful accident described the sea of fast food bags, candy bar wrappers, and losing lottery tickets surrounding the crash site as utterly tragic, adding that the scorched corpses inside the bus were, quote, only slightly more lifeless than before the deadly accident.
Evidence suggests that most of the victims suffered during the crash, and for many years before they even boarded the bus. All I can say is, thank God no one made it.
Al-Qaeda is refusing to carry out any further terrorist attacks until the U.S. mass transportation infrastructure is drastically improved, calling the country's roads and bridges a, quote, travesty, unbecoming of a developed first world nation.
We want to turn your bridges into rubble. But if we took credit for making them collapse, no one would ever believe us.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It is Free Talk Live, and you can join us here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. With you here tonight, you've got Ian.
And Chris.
And Vincent.
Vincent, you're looking awfully festive tonight.
Well, thank you. It's that time of the year, so might as well use all this ugly clothing now.
Yeah, I haven't pulled out I have an ugly sweater, and I haven't pulled it out of the closet yet this year, so maybe I ought to do that one of these days here. So lots of stuff to talk about tonight. Of course, you're welcome to join the show. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Coming up tonight, Vincent, you've got an interesting sounding piece from the Los Angeles Times about whether there's a right to sleep on the sidewalk. Apparently, the Supreme Court is going to be looking at this question now. And anybody who's lived in a massively large city, New York City, I'm sure LA, of course they got Skid Row or whatever there, right? They've got a lot of homeless people. I've heard Portland has gotten particularly bad with this.
Austin.
Austin, really?
Oh, yeah,
okay.
Austin, Texas,
I've
yeah.
been to Austin. I don't recall seeing it, but again, I didn't spend much time there. So, you don't always see the worst of the worst when you're just visiting somewhere. But I've definitely seen it even in Manhattan, downtown Manhattan.
It's all these regulations. It's inhibiting housing development.
Well, I mean, that's definitely a factor, right? Like the government regulations certainly restrict the amount of housing that is available, but some people...
It increases costs of living. I mean, the biggest part of your cost of living is, for most people, is rent.
And a lot of that is based on property taxes and all the regulatory compliance costs of having to build the place and ongoing regulatory compliance and fines and fees and licenses and all that stuff. It just jacks the rates up. There's no doubt. But there are still, no matter, even if the government stepped out of the way and the market could supply as much housing as was being demanded, you'd still have homeless people. Maybe you wouldn't have as many of them.
I'm a little skeptical of that because I think the cost of housing would drop drastically.
Not everybody wants to live in a house.
Right, but I'm talking just about housing like in a more general sense of some sort of dwelling, whether it's a 4x4, square foot, just enough to sleep, or something a bit, bigger. It's still a roof over your head compared to what they have now.
From my dad, stories my dad told me back in the 60s in like semi-rural suburban Pennsylvania, that they had people that back then they were just called hobos or vagabonds, where they were people, you could have a conversation with them, they could survive in the woods, but they just, I don't know if they enjoyed it, but what they would do is they would just go from
place to place.
Yeah.
Right, traveling in train cars and hitching rides and things like
hobo.
that. A hobo, exactly. And so there are people who are actually seeking that particular, let's call it a lifestyle. I
think that's a little different than the majority on the streets in these cities.
I agree with you. I'm just saying, even if you were to allow a supply of housing that's unlimited or whatever, you'd still have the people who, some of them want to do it just because that's the way they want to live. They just want to have that life of being on the road and seeing new things and experiencing new people and drinking all the time and whatever it is that they're into. And then there's, other people who, like, some people want to live out of their car. Now, you could argue that that's their home or whatever, but some people, don't want to have the cost, even if it were a lower cost, right? Like if right now, and we live in Keene, New Hampshire, which is a little college town in the southwest corner of New Hampshire, I think a studio apartment is like $1,000 a month.
I'd say that's the average.
Yeah, but even that's insane.
I'm saying if it were to be cut in half,
it would be probably cut like a tenth if you're talking about just enough space to have a bed and some place to sleep.
Well, not immediately. Let's say
not in a studio. Studio is much more than that.
Right, that's what I'm saying. A studio, even if you cut the cost
of living
in half,
could be a tenth of what it is of that number.
Sure, but some people want to have like a kitchen where they can prepare food. So even if you were going to cut the cost in half, there's still going to be some people who say, I'd rather just have that $500 a month and live out of my car. So, government regulation definitely creates part of the problem, but it's not necessarily a problem for some people to be homeless. That's what they want. That's the lifestyle they're seeking. And if you want to jump into the conversation, and since we're already this far into it, we might as well get into the story. If you want to join us, the toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. According to the Los Angeles Times, the Supreme Court is meeting apparently today to consider for the first time whether the Constitution gives homeless people a right to sleep on the sidewalk. Well, I'll just go ahead and clarify. My understanding of the Constitution, it does not address anything that has to do with the sidewalk. They didn't have sidewalks back then. They didn't. I mean, they certainly had homeless people, but I don't think that was in the mind of the framers of the Constitution.
But I think they're referencing the Eighth Amendment, cruel and unusual punishment. Because they're being punished. They're being punished. That's what they're being fined or something to that effect.
Oh, you mean like them being arrested or something?
Right, for being homeless. So, I mean, that seems like it would constitute cruel and unusual punishment to me, but I don't know. Maybe you disagree.
Does the Constitution address public property? I'm not intimately familiar with it enough to say yes or no. I don't think that it does, but
certainly it does say something about copyright, which they're calling property.
Copyright.
Yeah, so it
Constitution?
It does.
No.
It doesn't actually. It says something to the effect of the Congress may pass a law in regards to copyright. It doesn't say. It doesn't say that copyright is a right. It just says that it may. Or something to that.
We'll have to look that one up because that would be interesting. I was not aware that the copyright was or some sort of similar intellectual property was
something along those lines
in the Constitution. But if you want to weigh in, you can. Our toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. The justices are weighing an appeal of a much-disputed ruling by the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals that held last year that it was cruel and unusual punishment to enforce criminal laws against homeless people who are living on the street if a city doesn't offer enough shelters as an alternative. The appeals court's opinion quoted Anatole France's famous comment that, quote, "The law, in all its majestic equality, forbids the rich and poor alike to sleep under bridges," unquote. And from there, it announced a principle of human rights to strike down city laws that, quote, "criminalize the simple act of sleeping outside on public property," unquote. So the Ninth Court of Appeals has upheld the so-called right to sleep on public property. And arguably, if you're going to have public property, then in theory, everyone owns it.
Should be open to the public.
So shouldn't it just be able to be turned into an outdoor, hostel?
Well, I wonder if it'll change how, there's like some like national parks that don't allow camping, even though they have like miles and miles of just wilderness and trees. It's not like, you're going to build a shanty town to bother anyone. I wonder if the Supreme Court upholds the Ninth's ruling, if then that means I can go to, say, like the Great White Forest and just pitch a tent and live there.
Excellent question.
It does beg the question.
As precedent, Judge Marcia Berzon cited parts of a 1968 Supreme Court opinion in which several justices questioned whether chronic alcoholics may be punished for being drunk in public if they cannot control themselves. Quote, this principle compels the conclusion that the Eighth Amendment prohibits the imposition of criminal penalties for sitting, sleeping, or lying outside on public property for homeless individuals who cannot obtain shelter, she wrote for the three-judge panel. So if as we already discussed earlier, some of them could obtain shelter if they wanted to, but they choose not to. What happens with those people? Are they then going to be forced into a shelter if they...
It doesn't seem to prevent forcing somebody into a shelter if shelters exist. But if not enough shelters exist, then they can't be penalized for it, basically.
Which I would object to, forcing someone into a shelter. Because then they're saying, this is our property. Okay, the public property, that's then the government saying, no, it's the public property in that it's ours, meaning ours is the government. The government saying it's our property. We're going to tell you where and when you can be on it and when you can't. And, okay, we do have an open space in this shelter over here. We're going to now force you against your right to liberty, mind you,
right.
Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, or some would argue the pursuit of property. Then they're going to take that person's liberty away from them and put them not in a jail cell, but in a shelter, another place they don't actually want to be. Because maybe they just want to live outside. Maybe they just want to have that lifestyle. Shouldn't they have a right to do that as well? If you want to join the discussion, you can here. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. We'll talk more about the case that the Supreme Court is going to be looking at here. And, of course, there is a solution to this problem.
Oh, for sure.
And that is, well, we can get into that coming up here. 855-450-FREE, like freedom. 855-450-3733. And the Skype, or not Skype. I had Skype on the brain today for some reason. We had Daryl on it last night. The Discord call-in lines over at discord.lrn.fm. You can join us on the radio. This is Free Talk Live. Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. local.bitcoin.com.
The next generation wallet is coming from Divvy. In just a few taps, you'll be able to send, earn, spend, and exchange digital money in seconds. Send money around the globe with only a swipe. Instantly exchange between Divvy, Bitcoin, and fiat right in the mobile app, and withdraw directly to your bank account. Divvy already offers the first one-tap solution for earning passive income with crypto. Multi-tiered masternodes allow everyone to partake in the network. Visit DivvyProject.org. DivvyProject.org.
Have you ever wanted to work when you wanted to work instead of having to report to an office? Have you ever felt trapped by relationship rules like monogamy? I'm Caleb Jones, and I have taught hundreds of thousands of men how to create low-work, high-income businesses and how to date women under your terms. Come to our free webinar with a live Q&A with me, so you can learn how to create location-independent income and date women the way you want. Go to alpha.freetalklive.com.
I want to tell you about my favorite cryptocurrency wallet, Edge Wallet, at edge.app. Edge is the wallet I use more than any other, and that was true long before Edge Wallet became a sponsor of Free Talk Live. Edge Wallet allows you to buy, sell, trade, and securely hold your cryptocurrencies, including Bitcoin, Ethereum, tokens, Monero, Ripple, Dash, Bitcoin Cash, and more. It's available for both Android and iOS, and you can download it via the Play or App Store or via Edge Wallet's website, edge.app. Secure your freedom with Edge Wallet.
The Shire Free Church offers a sanctuary to those seeking an escape from state churches.
The Shire Free Church is an interfaith, diverse group of people that may not share identical theological beliefs. As a member in or minister of the Shire Free Church, you are a sovereign individual and may be the faith of your choice.
We don't claim to have all of the answers.
We are open to all peaceful people.
We want to learn from each other.
What unifies the Shire Free Church and its diverse members is peace,
love,
and liberty. There are many paths to God, one for every individual.
The Shire Free Church does not define a specific path beyond those parameters that must be your foundation.
Peace as your way,
love as your guide,
and liberty as your light.
Learn more at church.shiresociety.com.
That's church.shiresociety.com. So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up at any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
Love what we do? Please help support our international satellite channels at patreon.lrn.fm. That's patreon.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. You're invited here if you want to join us on the radio. Our toll-free number, 855-450-FREE, like freedom, 855-450-3733. Coming up, we can talk about Venezuela. I haven't even had a chance to ask you what you've got tonight, Chris. We've just been all over the place. I've been just super busy here today, and BetterPlans.net can help you and your family take care of your health insurance needs. You know, Obamacare was supposed to be health care that was affordable with a choice. You didn't actually believe that, did you? Because, of course, it's turned into high-priced insurance with little choice. The team at BetterPlans.net believed there was a better way to do health insurance, and they figured out how. You can call them at 800-714-1802 to get a fast and free quote. And the truth is, you can get affordable health care plans that cost hundreds of dollars less per month. But the first step is to become aware of how the wool has been pulled over your eyes. You can download their free ebook, Dirty Little Secrets, at BetterPlans.net. See their sample pricing for plans every bit as good as the major providers for as little as $145 a month for a single, and even greater savings for families and businesses. Gain access to educational videos and a free quote, plus your free ebook, Dirty Little Secrets, at BetterPlans.net. The Obamacare enrollment deadline, by the way, is coming up in 1 week, basically, a little over a week, December 15th, so don't delay. Visit BetterPlans.net or call 800-714-1802. That's 800-714-1802. And I did double check here, Chris. You were absolutely right. I figured copyright was such a bad idea. It must have come later on. But no, it's there in the Constitution. They don't use the word copyright, but they describe it. The Congress shall have the power, quote, to promote the progress of science and useful arts by securing for limited times to authors and inventors the exclusive right to their respective writings and discoveries.
So it doesn't actually implement copyright. All it does is permit. So they could
Permits
get rid
the
of
government
They
too.
could get rid of copyright.
So since it says for a limited time, does that mean all the times when Disney would extend copyright by like past 90 years when the original inventor is dead? Does that mean that's unconstitutional?
No, that's limited.
Effectively, thousands of years or millions of years is technically limited too.
As long as you do it in increments, small increments, then it's limited.
Yes,
then
it's absolutely insane. It was supposed to be for 7 years.
Was that the original?
That was the original. Yeah,
Wow.
It was 7 years, and it could be extended for another 7. But you had to file for another 7. So yeah, considering that it's hundreds of years now at this point, it's absolutely insane.
It's like Night of the Living Dead is in public domain because George A. Romero never put a copyright sign at the beginning.
That predates more recent law, which basically says that everything is by default copyright. Technically, whenever you visit a website where there's like comments at the bottom, you're violating somebody else's copyright because short of them putting it in the public domain, you're making a copy, and unless you have their permission, it's...
Well, my understanding is it's not, if it's already entered the public domain, it's not retroactive. So like Cheshire TV could air...
local public access.
That's if it predates a certain time period, though, because after a certain date, it's automatically copyright.
Well, I imagine. Well, I mean, I'm not an expert in it, but I just know because I've looked into this a lot for classes and such. That there are things that are still bad, like some old Free Stooge Free Stooge segments that I could host on my own website.
Sure.
I could have the Vincent channel.
That's if it entered the public
it.
domain prior to a certain date.
And when was that date? Do you know?
I don't recall exactly,
Roughly?
but if it's like something from the 50s, it would be in the public domain today. But if it was past like 1970 something, it's automatically copyrighted. And even though it would be in the public domain under certain conditions, it's not because it was copyrighted after that date, and it's not because of the time limitation either. It's just I don't know. It's just automatic. Like it. Yeah.
Well, we can get further into intellectual property, but we also have the homeless story to continue. But first, Dave is on the line, and this is, I believe, Dave Ridley from RidleyReport.com in Colorado. Hello, Dave.
Yeah, I also believe I'm Dave Ridley.
Excellent. I'm glad we agree. Go ahead.
So, I guess the Fraser Institute has yet again rated New Hampshire #1 for economic freedom.
Whoa! Wait, I didn't know Fraser Institute was doing that. I thought
it was Florida.
Which study? Hold on. Which study are we talking about here?
I don't know what the name of the study is. It was just a report on granitegrok.com, which is a New Hampshire blog. And yep, they just said that I didn't know they were rating that sort of thing either. But apparently, if they've done it before, if they can do it again, and the current rating is again #1, I guess for I don't know if it's for like 2019 or 2018.
Well, I mean, now you've got me curious here. I went over to their website. I'm not seeing it in the top news stories here, so I'm not sure how old the story might be or where you spotted it. So it'd be nice to have a little bit more info about this. Was it a fresh story? Do you know?
It was reported on November 9th by Granite Grok, but that's all I know.
Oh, November 9th.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm just laughing. One of the headlines here: Campus Mein Kampf, the left's cultural intifada of America continues. At least they have pretty creative headlines.
All right. Well, what do you think about that? I mean, New Hampshire #1. Comment, please.
Well, there are always problems with New Hampshire, just like any other place. But it seems like when you take everything together, the aggregate, there's rankings for all kinds of things, not just freedom. And, the quality of life rankings, the safety rankings and stuff like that. That's where New Hampshire really shines when you take them all together. And it always seems to be in the top 10. It's often in the top 3 in most of these rankings.
It was for a couple of years #1 in the Freedom in the 50 States study. I know that. But I don't think that was Fraser Institute. I think that was Cato that was doing that one. And then it was actually replaced by, of all places, Florida in the most recent.
Kind of makes you question
how
methods.
It makes sense because you have a lot of rich people who retire to Florida, Trump included. I have found Granite Grok. Yeah, I found it too.
Fraser Institute Economic Freedom Ranking for the United States. This is based on 2015 data. Now, frequently they don't have data that's newer than the last few years. But yeah, New Hampshire scored 8.3 out of 10, and Florida ranking in at #2 with Texas tied with Florida at number 2. That's interesting because the Freedom in the 50 States study, which is also, again, another one that looks at various different freedoms, ranked Texas nowhere near the top 10. So the methodology in these things is obviously very, very different.
Well, I wonder if they have to take into account now these climate laws. Like, I forget if Vermont passed it or was considering passing some sort of a carbon tax, where in places like Texas, where they rely so much on the oil industry, and I don't know if fracking is that big here in New Hampshire. I could see, like, in states with more environmental laws going down down slots in economic freedom, because most of the time, these environmental laws inhibit economic freedom.
So I'm looking here now at the Freedom in the 50 States at freedominthe50states.org. It shows, Texas is ranked at number 21 over on the Freedom in the 50 States, and they're looking at different freedoms here. I mean, everything from fiscal, regulatory, personal, economic, lawsuit, land, marriage, etc. I got to say, I'm not familiar with the Fraser Institute. This is the first time I think I've seen this. Maybe I've seen it before, but I just don't recall it. So, Dave, you're coming back to New Hampshire pretty soon, I hear.
Yeah, I should be back on the 11th.
Well, one thing that the two reports do agree on is that number 50 of the 50 states, meaning the least free of all 50 states, is
California.
No.
New York. I was thinking New York, but California's probably number 2 on the list, right?
California is number 49 on both lists as well, yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yep.
Right.
All right, Dave, thanks for the heads up on that. We'll dig a little deeper here into this. Appreciate the clue. There's more on the way here. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Kudos to New Hampshire, winning it again.
Balance of Nature. Changing the world, one life at a time.
I started taking them about 7.5 years ago. It was right after I lost my husband. My husband passed away. I was grieving so bad I wasn't eating at all. I mean, I just didn't care. And so I heard the advertisements on the radio, and I thought, well, my family's upset about me. I got to get myself straight, and I started taking them. So I always say they kind of saved my life, They gave me back my life. I would say that.
Experience the Balance of Nature difference for yourself. Call or go online now and become a preferred customer, which gives you our best pricing and free shipping. And we will take an additional 35% off of your first order. This will be a limited time offer, so don't wait. Call 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Or go to balanceofnature.com and use discount code FTL.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this, right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com. Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
So
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
Now you can follow LRN.FM on the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm.
Hey, it's Free Talk Live. We were talking about homelessness, and we'll get back into it because there's a interesting Supreme Court case that they're hearing, apparently starting today on that. It's Ian, Chris, and Vincent in the studio here with you tonight.
And, we want to ask you, have you ever heard of Caleb Jones? He's the creator of Alpha Male 2.0, and we will be hosting a free live webinar with Caleb, complete with a Q&A session on December 10th at 8 p.m. Eastern, and you could register at alpha.freetalklive.com. Now, Caleb has taught hundreds of thousands of men how to create location-independent income and date women under their terms. He asks questions like, what good is living in a free society if you do not live a free life? Have you ever wanted to work when you wanted to work instead of having to report to an office? And have you ever felt trapped by relationship rules like monogamy? To some, what Caleb teaches is controversial. However, he is not creating sound bites just for shock value. He believes deeply in the Alpha 2.0 way of life, and he wants to help you be more than just a beta male, or even more than an alpha male. He wants to help you become an Alpha Male 2.0. Attend the free live webinar Tuesday, December 10th at 8 p.m. Eastern. Register now at alpha.freetalklive.com. That's alpha.freetalklive.com.
All right, so we were looking closer at this Fraser Institute study on economic freedom. And one of you guys pointed this out during the break because I was looking at the differences between two different studies. So we got the Fraser Institute at fraserinstitute.org and then Freedom in the 50 States, which is the Cato Institute. They're both studying freedom, but Cato studies overall freedom, both personal and economic freedom. And that's why I was looking at this and saying, well, wait a minute, Texas on the Cato study is 21, but over on the Fraser, Texas is in the most recent one, number 5. I had said earlier that it was, what was it, number 3 or something like that, but turns out we were looking at 2015's data, and that's actually not the newest data they have. They have it for 2016 and 2017. But either way, number 5 to number 21 is a huge discrepancy, and that's because Fraser does not appear to be looking at personal freedoms in this chart. So, moving ahead to 2017 on the Fraser Institute study, does still put New Hampshire at number 1, and it must be slightly more free than Florida because New Hampshire scored a 7.9 out of 10, and Florida scored a 7.9 out of 10, but they didn't rank them as tied, whereas in some of the studies they did rank them as tied. So, for instance, in 2016, Florida was number 1 at 7.8, and New Hampshire number 2 at 7.8. So it's a neck-and-neck battle.
So last year they considered it. Is that correct? Was it last year you said that they
2016?
So they had it at number 1 last year, and this year they have it as number 2?
So there's no data for this year, but for 2017 on Fraser Institute, New Hampshire's number 1 again. So New Hampshire
so we're back to number 1.
New Hampshire was number 1 in 20... Let's see how far back New Hampshire was number 1. So... going back to 2010, I mean, they actually have a bunch. They must have been doing this a long time. Let's see. They go back all the way to the 1980s. Looks like New Hampshire pretty consistently number 1 throughout this time. Florida takes it in 1992. South Dakota following that. New Hampshire takes it back for several years.
But this is economic freedom?
This is economic freedom.
Economic freedom.
Very important.
Yes, because I was going to say Florida does not come to mind when I think of places that are free.
New Hampshire dominates this list over the last 40 years. I mean, it is New Hampshire, New Hampshire, New Hampshire, New Hampshire. South Dakota took it back in 2011, back to New Hampshire, and then Florida snagged it in 2016, and now it's back to New Hampshire. So New Hampshire, a little bit of South Dakota, a little bit of Florida, but it's been just New Hampshire killing it as far as economic freedoms over the last 40 years, the Fraser Institute study. And then you look at the freedom in the 50 states, which I don't think has been around as long, and nor can you easily switch between the years on this, but the most recent one from them shows New Hampshire. Again, this is overall freedoms. New Hampshire is number 2. So that's a pretty good
What is number 1?
Florida.
Florida, but that's economic freedom.
Freedom in the 50 states is all freedoms combined.
Florida really is.
I don't believe it.
I don't believe it either. I'm sorry, but I'm not
there.
buying it for one moment. It just seems absolutely insane to call Florida free,
But also, you can break down. There's different, different areas in each state have more or less freedom, right? So maybe there's more areas of Florida that have more freedom. Although I imagine they're looking at state laws, not so much cities. But again, there's a lot of methodology here. If you want to dig into the study and dig into the data, they've got it for you, and you can do as much of that as you like. That's our brief overview, and thanks to Dave Ridley for giving us a call to give us a heads up on that. So let's change gears back into the freedom to sleep where you want to sleep, where you have permission to sleep. Because, if you got a house and you're paying rent, paying the property taxes, no problem. You can sleep there. It's no issue. Usually people aren't going to have a problem with that. But it starts to get a little tricky when you go outside of a rented home and you, say, want to pitch a tent somewhere, say on public property or on the sidewalk, as some people have done in some bigger cities. I've heard Mark, who's one of our co-hosts, he went to visit Portland, I think, earlier last year or maybe a year ago or something like that. And it was just awful the way he described it. He said that there's just homeless people everywhere.
Yeah, I've been to Portland and a bunch of other cities.
How long ago?
When was the last time I was there? It may have been a few years now, but it's
apparently worse now.
Is it?
Than when you went there.
I've been to other cities recently too, in just the area like Seattle, and
I've heard that's bad too.
Seattle is terrible. Like,
what did you see? I mean, when you say terrible, like, what do you?
I mean, feces and
needles
certainly, and people living, literally living on
stench
the streets,
of urine,
tents
everywhere.
Stench. It smelled
That's
horrible.
the worst.
I thought you were talking Portland, Maine for a
and
moment.
it wasn't just here or there; it was all over the city. I mean, it was just yeah. I mean, you couldn't walk a block without hitting a homeless person on the street. It was on the buses, everywhere.
I just I gotta say, just as an aside, I don't get the city mentality of like why people like it.
I don't either.
In the city,
it's absolutely insane.
It's gross.
Yeah, it's
unhealthy.
There's garbage.
Oh yeah,
everywhere.
Constant noise.
Have
pollution.
you been to New York?
That's
garbage
what I'm talking about.
Yeah, garbage is terrible in New York.
That's what I think of when I think of a city as New York City. I mean, I don't spend much time in other cities, but I go there once a year for a talk show conference.
Yeah,
and you're in
York
Manhattan
smells too.
You're in Manhattan, which is like one of the nicer parts, supposedly, of New York City. It's a little more upper crust or whatever, and there's still just garbage everywhere. Bums sleeping around, stench of urine.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, as you're walking down the street, it might be more pleasant if you couldn't smell in New York City.
Well, here's the thing: I have a terrible nose.
Yeah. And
if I can smell it, it's bad for me. You got a problem.
Have either of you seen the San Francisco human waste map?
Yes.
And so something about New York I want to mention is it's gotten a lot better in the last 30 years. It used to be.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It literally smelled like a garbage dump back in the day. Now it's slightly better.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
The app that you're talking about, Vincent, I heard that's out of date. You're talking about the app where it shows you where the human feces.
Well, yeah.
is?
People would self-report. Now, obviously, it's not going to be 100% accurate, but just like the whole, if you just look at it, it just shows the whole city area is just plastered with little brown pins.
That's
brown
gross.
pins.
So gross.
Well,
and it used to be a beautiful place, San Francisco. I think that's where like Full House took place and everything. And then now today, just because this is what happens when you give total status, total control.
Well, now the Supreme Court is going to be looking at the question of whether or not homeless people have a right to sleep in the streets. And the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals said that it was cruel and unusual punishment to enforce laws against homeless people, charging them with a crime for sleeping in public. Quote, the principle compels the conclusion that the Eighth Amendment prohibits the imposition of criminal penalties for sitting, sleeping, or lying outside on public property for homeless individuals who cannot obtain shelter, wrote someone on the 3-judge panel at the Ninth Circuit Court, describing the ruling as, quote, narrow. That is, so long as there is no option of sleeping indoors, the government cannot criminalize indigent homeless people for sleeping outdoors on public property.
And, the thing to point out here is that the city is causing this problem. They're doing things that prevent people from building them housing, like
That's true.
tiny houses and just housing with smaller rooms, basically. That's
or preventing the homeless people themselves from building their own homes.
Right.
Which happened here in our very own Keene, New Hampshire, where there were homeless people behind the grocery store, one of the grocery stores here, with the permission of the property owner, and the city still came in and threw them out of the little shanty shack thing that they had built.
They did.
That happened several years back. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. More on this case. Your thoughts. Welcome. Free Talk Live.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Sling bow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of sling bow. A new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
Have you checked your Google search results lately? Search results are usually the first impression that people form of you or your business, so make sure that they create a positive impression with Reputation Defender. What the internet says about you can have a big impact on your life and your livelihood, even if it's not true. Fortunately, you can now control how you look online and in online search results with Reputation Defender. Call 800-831-0771 now. That's 800-831-0771. For your free reputation analysis. If you have negative material from an ex-employee, upset patient, or former client, newspaper article, legal issue, social media, or other source showing up in your search results, you can combat it with Reputation Defender. Our dedicated experts in patented technology can help make your online search results look their best. Call 800-831-0771 to learn more. 800-831-0771. That's 800-831-0771.
Most of you know that heart disease is the #1 silent killer in the U.S. What if I told you for just $54.95 a month you could fight against heart disease naturally? At Heart and Body Extract, we've been helping thousands of people get back to a healthier heart. Don't just take my word for it. Check out all of the success stories at hbextract.com, or to order, call 866-295-5305. That's 866-295-5305. hbextract.com. Don't risk it when you can take charge of it.
You can't win if you don't enter, and you actually can improve your chances of winning a prize drawing if you wrinkle up your entry blank. I'm Holland Cook from survivalspeech.com, and I speak from experience. Why this works: if they'll be spinning the drum before drawing, your entry blank will move around more than, and not adhere to, other perfectly flat entry blanks. And if they don't spin the drum and merely reach into a box full of other perfectly flat entry blanks, many of which are sticking together, yours will feel different to the person reaching in. When you win, act surprised. And if you're looking for work, this is a metaphor. For more tips on sticking out in a world where just too much blends into the blah, 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 hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
Free speech is protected on the internet, right? Not always. Government agencies try to limit free speech and commerce on the net. Luckily, when they do, The Institute for Justice is there to defend your First Amendment right to free speech. IJ helped set the first federal precedent for internet free speech in 1999, and ever since has worked to prevent unconstitutional roadblocks in cyberspace. Visit our website today at ij.org.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
It's Free Talk Live. You can join us here. The toll-free number, 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We have the Discord call-in line rooms over at discord.lrn.fm. You can hop into one of those and bring up whatever you want. We've been talking about the homeless. We touched on intellectual property. You can discuss any of those things and more. With you tonight, it's Ian.
And Chris.
And Vincent.
Also on the way, face scanning technology coming to maybe an airport near you. We'll get into the story. Chris has that to share with us on the way. We can talk about Venezuela and sex with Prince Andrew. We've heard about what it's like. Coming up here, 855-450-FREE like freedom. We're talking about the freedom or not to sleep outside. According to the justices at the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, the case that is now being appealed to the Supreme Court, which they have apparently accepted, so there will be a ruling on this. The Ninth Circuit Court saying that as long as there's no option for sleeping indoors, the government cannot criminalize indigent homeless people for sleeping outdoors on public property. And this whole situation is just messed up because it basically says if you're homeless, and you're homeless by choice, because remember, there's the kind of homeless person who's homeless by circumstance, because they couldn't pay their rent or got fired, something bad happened in their life, and they just couldn't make it happen. They need help. They're looking for help. But there's also the kind of homeless person who's like, I just like life outside. I like living under bridges. I like not having the responsibilities of paying rent. And those people, the court is basically saying here, you are the serf. You are ours. We own you. And if we have a place for you to stay, you cannot stay outside. That's what they're saying here. Now they're saying if there's no place to stay, then okay, you can stay outside. It's then your right to do that. But you don't have the right to choose where you want to stay. They will put you somewhere, is what the Ninth Circuit Court. So even though the Ninth Circuit Court ruling sort of on its face sounds like it's in favor of the homeless, it's actually not in favor of the chosen homeless. It's only in favor of the ones that are looking for shelter. The dissenters in the Ninth Circuit and officials in California and the other 8 Western states covered by their jurisdiction said the ruling was anything but narrow. The ruling, quote, shackles the hands of public officials trying to redress the serious societal concern of homelessness, unquote. That according to Judge Milan Smith. Unless they can provide shelter for all, Smith said, quote, local governments are forbidden from enforcing laws restricting sleeping and camping. City officials will be powerless to assist residents lodging valid complaints about the health and safety of their neighborhoods. Well, not entirely, because there is a solution here. And the solution is private property. Your neighborhood doesn't have to have government streets and government sidewalks, public so-called, because again, that's what they mean when they talk about public, right? The word public is a euphemism for government. In almost every case, when you hear government agents, these government gangsters, when they talk about the public this, public that, just replace public with government or state, because that's what they're actually talking about. The public, that's one of the things with sort of the duplicitous language of states is it sounds like they're talking about everyone. Public means everyone, right? That's what we're raised to believe. But no.
Nope. It's actually it's what it is really a redistribution of wealth, because they're going to limit that space to certain people that they prefer.
That they decide.
Yeah.
Because they own it. You don't.
Absolutely.
If you did own it, there wouldn't have to be any kind of court case or any of this stuff. So it's just the government gang trying to decide how its own rules should be applied and which rules from which government gangs are the preferred rules. And so now it's going to the 9 men and women with the robes on who will make this decision, and they'll hand it down from on high. And it has nothing to do with freedom. It has nothing to do with property rights. It has nothing to do with liberty. It's just completely separate from that. So if people are worried about this, and it's a legitimate concern, right? Like, nobody wants to go outside and step in a pile of dung. Nobody wants to go, people do not want to have the experience of walking out from their storefront and having some homeless dude camped out front. He's 3 sheets to the wind drunk and, stumbling out of his tent, running into your customers. Nobody wants to have that, that experience, but that's the exact experience that you have now with public property. This is what's called the tragedy of the commons, where property that's owned in tandem with other people, with everyone supposedly, which is the theory behind public property. Well, if it's owned by everyone, it's owned by no one.
You know, the crazy thing about this is it doesn't even seem to me to be a problem so much with sidewalks. It's more of a problem with government hindering the production of housing for people who are really poor.
But it becomes a problem with the sidewalks.
It becomes a problem with the sidewalks, with the public sidewalks or government sidewalks, because the cities are inhibiting, sheltering of the homeless.
Right. All the while exclaiming how bad the problem is when they helped create it.
Right. Exactly. I mean, when you limit the homeless shelters or you stop homeless shelters from being built, which we've seen even in Keene, what do you think is going to happen? You're not going to have enough homeless shelters in order to even shelter the homeless. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And not only that, but they also inhibit, and we're talking about private homeless shelters too, right? So we're not even talking about government homeless shelters, but private homeless shelters. They won't issue permits basically to like run them or operate them, or
they stood in the way here in Keene. This was before you arrived here, but they the private, there is a private homeless shelter in Keene. And when they were going through the process of opening their doors for the first time, like a decade or so ago, the guy who was founding it, of course, he tried to jump through the city hoops or whatever. He wanted to do things legit. That's the way most people are, right?
Yeah.
And the city gang just stood in his way and said, we gotta have sprinklers. We need sprinklers in here. There needs to be a professional fire suppression system that would cost God knows how much money, right? And it's like, that's a nice idea and everything, but it's getting cold out. It's freezing cold out. We need to get people in here.
Do you want to die, or do you want to risk? Possibly being killed by fire? I'd rather risk possibly being killed by fire than die for sure outside.
So, to the guy's credit, he actually ignored the city and threw the doors of the homeless shelter open anyway.
Really?
And actually brought in, 200 people or 150 or however many it was the first year. And that's what got my attention, was like, wow, I've got to support this organization. If the guy running
that was 100 Nights, was it?
100 Nights.
Yeah, okay.
So which takes cryptocurrency, by the way.
Yes, I was going to say, they are, I do like 100 Nights.
100 Nights.
Not that I have used their services or anything, but
the service they provide is valuable, and I contribute to them on a monthly basis. They do take Bitcoin. They do take Bitcoin Cash.
Yeah, I've contributed crypto to them a number of times over the course of the past, 6 months, I think.
You can go to, I think, 100nights.org. If I recall correctly, that's the website if you want to do that. Learn more about them. But yeah, these private solutions are hamstrung by government goons who are standing in the way of people helping people. It's just, you don't have our permission. You can't help your neighbors.
Yeah.
That's how crazy it is.
You can't put up the tiny homes even though it's on private property.
Right. Oh, you don't have a permit for that.
Yeah. It's absolutely
Well,
insane.
how do I get a permit? You can't have a permit for that. We've decided that you can't.
That is actually what the politicians can come out and say. Like, it's absolutely insane.
And I don't know if that's a subsidy to the home construction industry or what it is.
I mean, how can it be a subsidy to the construction industry? Because they're not even being allowed to build either for the homeless.
Oh, they'll build if you pay them enough. You pay the city enough, they'll let you build a house.
Oh, so you think that... Okay, so you're saying that it's trying to force
people to buy a full-size house.
Right.
If you can't buy a tiny home, you got to buy a full-size home.
Yeah, that's true.
I think in some cases it could just be like the blatant naked exercise of power, where not every single city zoning board or commission or city council is going to have some sort of financial stake in people building houses, but...
You mean like a city councilor who might be a realtor?
Yeah, well,
something
I'm
like
just
that?
saying. Yeah,
Okay,
I
do-
mean,
do-
I'm just saying. I mean, that's certainly a possibility. I'm sure it happens. I just think a lot of the other times, or not a lot of the other time. I think another thing to think about is just power, right? The ability to say you can't do this with your own money
these
on your own
bureaucrats love that.
property.
They love exercising power.
They do, but I think I do want to point out that if you look at like even in Keene in the last election here for mayor, who did we have run?
A realtor.
A property owner who rents out a lot of properties in Keene. There's a reason these people want to have control, because they want to inhibit competition. It's not even just about basically what happens is when you inhibit the construction of other homes, now this is an interest of property owners, but your home value goes up, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's another reason why they don't want new construction, is because
they're
protecting their own interests, even when they're not construction, in the construction industry.
We're going to talk more about this.
Tenant industry.
Yeah, we got more on this homeless story, because again, private property, we've just barely touched on this, is the solution here. You don't want bums,
and less regulation,
puking out in front of your business, regularly. Well, there is a way to solve this problem. Of course, nobody is going to propose this in government. There's more coming up. Hour 2's next. Free Talk Live.
Would it be nice to wake in the morning whenever you want and work whenever you feel like it? Date women under your terms instead of society's? Be a completely free man? I'm Caleb Jones, and I have taught hundreds of thousands of men how to create low-work, high-income businesses and how to date women under your terms. Come to our free webinar with a live Q&A with me so you can learn how to create location-independent income and date women the way you want. Go to alpha.freetalklive.com.
You love Bitcoin. It's the future, right? Well, no, not if everyone stops using it. I mean, think about it. How many places in your town take Bitcoin? One? None? Let's be real. If this Bitcoin thing is ever going to happen, it's going to need your help. The good news is, the guys at AnyPay have your back. We built a website called helpmetakebitcoin.com, and it's a place you can send any business, and they'll be set up to take Bitcoin in 5 minutes. helpmetakebitcoin.com.
Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. local.bitcoin.com. LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is the Liberty Beat, your daily source for Liberty news and activist updates. Produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. Online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow with your latest edition of the Liberty Beat. Gold is trading at $1,476, silver at $16.96, and Bitcoin is trading around $7,378. Today's prices are brought to you by InnoScale. Take off with Managed Cloud. Looking for a safe, secure way to store your important files online? Let InnoScale handle it for you. Their high-availability cloud servers are the perfect solution for clients needing one or more secure, scalable servers with built-in hardware failover protection. For details, see them online at innoscale.net. In the news, 5 of Jeffrey Epstein's accusers have said that the Duke of York was witness to the act of girls giving massages to adults at his various properties. And now, the accuser's lawyer plans to serve subpoenas to Prince Andrew to testify as a witness in their cases. While the prince contends he did not witness or even suspect any activities for which Epstein has either been convicted or accused, the lawyer for the 5 women, David Boyce, says the Duke of York may have important information related to their cases. The Mind Unleashed reports the subpoenas have been prepared, but must be signed off by a judge after the prince sets foot on U.S. soil. He can then challenge the subpoenas in order to avoid providing evidence if he wishes. Spencer Kuban, a lawyer who represents many of Epstein's alleged victims and once questioned the billionaire a decade ago, has urged the prince to come forward, saying on BBC Radio 4's Today, quote, "Be a man, stand up for what you believe, and what you're saying is the truth, and come forward," end quote. The Liberty Beat is sponsored in part by Brave Botanicals, high-quality kratom and CBD at reasonable prices with excellent customer service. Brave Botanicals is activist-owned and mission-driven, and believes so strongly in the power of kratom, they're giving it away for free. Just go to freeounceofkratom.com for a free ounce of kratom delivered to your door. Just pay shipping. That's freeounceofkratom.com. This is the latest edition of the Liberty Beat. Find us online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. Your news now continues. Despite having gotten away with murder, Neighborhood Watch volunteer George Zimmerman has filed a $100 million lawsuit against the family of Trayvon Martin and attorney Ben Crump, claiming that they engineered false evidence against him. The Mind Unleashed reports that Zimmerman, who was acquitted of homicide charges in the 2012 shooting death of 17-year-old Trayvon Martin, is being represented by high-profile lawyer, founder of Judicial Watch and Freedom Watch, and former U.S. Department of Justice prosecutor Larry Klayman, in a lawsuit seeking damages for defamation, abuse of civil process, and conspiracy. Martin was shot and killed February 26, 2012, when he was returning to his father's home, whom he was visiting, after purchasing candy at a local store. Zimmerman reported Martin as suspicious in a call to police. Zimmerman claims he followed Martin after making the call and was attacked by the teen before killing him. Martin was unarmed, carrying only the Skittles and a drink he had just purchased. The Trump administration on Wednesday announced new measures that would end food stamp benefits for nearly 750,000 low-income people. The new rules would make it difficult for states to gain waivers from a requirement that beneficiaries work or participate in a vocational training program, according to a report from Bloomberg. Republicans have long attempted to make the change. House Republicans tried to cut parts of the federal food assistance program last year, but it was quickly rejected in the Senate. The new requirements by the Trump administration would only target able-bodied recipients who are not caring for children under the age of 6. Sources said the measure would be one of 3 enacted by the Trump administration to wind down the massive federal food assistance program. The measures are expected to boot nearly 3.7 million recipients from the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, known as SNAP. Support for the Liberty Beat comes from the Conscious Resistance Network, featuring videos, news reports, and articles from a spiritual anarchist perspective. Experience the Conscious Resistance at theconsciousresistance.com. How would you like to have your business featured on the Liberty Beat? You can. Just send an email to libertybeat@snls.news for details. This is the Liberty Beat, produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. The Liberty Beat is online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow, reporting for the Liberty Beat, reminding you, spread liberty with a smile.
If you're the parent of a man-child, you know how frustrating it can sometimes be. The piercing sound of his video games waking you up at 2 in the morning. His insatiable hunger and inability to cook anything for himself. The messes he makes. The stress can be overwhelming.
Something will set them off, such as their man-child will tell them that they don't know how to tie a tie even though they're almost 30. They'll start shaking them and yelling and saying, "What the hell is wrong with you? Why don't you get a real job instead of working part-time at a board game store?"
The results of shaken man-child syndrome are devastating. Trauma caused by the brain colliding with the inside of the man-child's skull can lead to cognitive disabilities, making it even more unlikely he'll finally marry the girl he's been having a long-distance online relationship with for 6 years, or it can even lead to death.
He's not spilling cereal all over the couch or leaving his beard clippings in the bathroom sink intentionally. He truly does not know what he's doing.
For the Lab Report, I'm Stuart Adams.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live, and we're launching into the second hour of the program. You can join us here. The toll-free number, 855-450-FREE. Coming up tonight, Chris has a creepy sounding story about face scanning technology and the airport near you, perhaps. We'll get into that, find out what ominous Orwellian creep factor stuff is going to be coming into play. The toll-free number, if you want to join us here, is 855-450-FREE. And in the studio tonight, it's Ian.
And Chris.
And Vincent.
And we're going to continue a story, though, that Vincent, you brought in here tonight from, was it Los Angeles Times?
Yes.
No. Yeah, Los Angeles Times, being reported over at MSN about a court decision that has been appealed now. So it was the Ninth Circuit Court ruling that governments can, if there's no room left in homeless shelters, can give people the right, supposedly, to just camp out on public property. And that includes on sidewalks. Now, I imagine that they are going to stop them from camping out in the middle of the street because that's generally considered disorderly conduct if you stop the flow of traffic.
You know, I have to wonder if like, it sounds like the way they ruled, effectively, they can't be charged with anything. Effectively, it doesn't matter like what it is that they do.
They meaning the homeless?
Yeah, so like they could be committing any number of offenses, and cops can't really do anything about
Well, I don't know. They're specifically talking about the laws that are designed to criminalize being homeless, and those laws do exist in different places. So I don't know if they're going to let people get away with camping in the middle of the street.
Did they not say specifically about the rights to camp effectively on
public property?
Right, on public property and the sidewalk specifically?
Yeah, I mean, that would be included, I think.
Okay, yeah. So, I mean, it sounds to me like it's more than just...
It could lead down the path where you're able to, like, pop a tent right up in the middle of the highway something.
Yeah, I mean...
That could be where this goes.
They mentioned underpasses because I was reading up on Austin, Texas's homeless policy, and they mentioned something like no underpasses. And that's... I don't know. That seems like a perfect place for them to.
You would think it's protected from the rain,
right? Absolutely protected from cars. Where no one hangs out there other than homeless people, other than kids doing drugs. So yeah, it's just odd. They always specify not under underpasses.
Oh, and that's kind of funny because there's I forget what city it is, but there was some city, and this is probably it's not the problem is more than just one city, but there's a case I was reading about where they basically outlawed people on the sex offender lists from being within like a certain distance from schools and playgrounds and things like that.
Right.
But the problem with that is that they have to register an address like when they're on the sex offender list. Well, the only place they can effectively register is under a bridge
because they're excluded from all the other places.
And that's not considered cruel and unusual punishment because it's not considered punishment because
it's crazy.
Don't ask me, but yeah. But it's sort of an interesting related note because they've also then banned sleeping under, which, well, I don't know if that particular city has, but I wouldn't be surprised if they also have that.
Los Angeles and other cities have asked the court to take up the case, and the Supreme Court is now going to do that. The Ninth Circuit has jurisdiction in 9 western states from Alaska to Arizona. The appeals court's ruling struck down a city ordinance in Boise, Idaho that made it a misdemeanor to camp or sleep on sidewalks, parks, or other places without permission. Such ordinances are common in other cities and towns. The case began a decade ago when Robert Martin and 5 other homeless individuals joined a suit after they were given fines of $25 to $75 for violating Boise's anti-camping ordinance. Los Angeles attorney Thien Evangelos, a partner at Gibson Dunn who represented the city, called the Ninth Circuit's decision, quote, both nonsensical and unworkable, unquote, and said that it handcuffs city officials and police who are trying to cope with the homeless crisis. She filed an appeal petition urging the High Court to hear the case and overturn the appeals court's decision. Quote, the creation of a de facto constitutional right to live on the sidewalks and in parks will cripple the ability of more than 1,600 municipalities in the Ninth Circuit to maintain the health and safety of their communities. Public encampments have spawned crime and violence, incubated disease, and created environmental hazards that threaten the lives and well-being of both of those living on the streets and the public at large. And I don't think they're necessarily wrong by saying that. I mean, there's no doubt that some of the most undesirable, circumstances have attracted some of the most undesirable people, whether it was, their choice or not, to be in those places. But that's ultimately what has happened, and it's not a pretty pretty sight. As you said, Chris, you've seen how bad it's gotten in cities like Portland and Seattle. Mark Edge, one of our co-hosts, says it's just awful in Portland with literally people with tents on the streets. And of course, I believe Skid Row, I've never seen it personally, but it's in Los Angeles, has had that going on for decades, where people are just down on their luck.
Los Angeles too, yeah.
So it's pretty awful, but no solution proposed by the state here is going to really solve this, because no statist is going to propose, hey, here's an idea, guys, let's get rid of public property. Poof. Problem solved. Because if it's private property, you have the right to tell somebody, hey, get out of here, buddy.
Honestly, I think you're asking too much, and I would just be happy if they allowed the freaking permits to build the homeless shelters in the first place and stopped getting in the way and increasing the costs and taxing the homeless shelters so they can't afford to operate and everything else that
that's
they
a
do
step
to
in the right direction.
hinder the homeless in the first place.
But again, that doesn't solve the problem of the chosen homeless. So
yeah, I would agree with you on that.
Then you've got this court that's going to decide one way or the other. Either the cities are going to be able to force chosen homeless people into a home, which is against their liberty, or they're going to force, or allow, if you will, homeless people to live on public property, which of course causes a huge problem for business and for residential areas.
As much as I like the idea of getting rid of public property, I would rather just focus on getting rid of the things that actually cost us a lot of money, like schools, public schools, and things of that nature, because it's
let the homeless move in there, and that's public property, right?
Yeah, I mean that's what they claim, but
Let
it's
them
really
sleep
it's
in the
not.
gyms and the auditoriums.
There you go.
Perfect
Why
idea.
not?
The crazy thing is though, like the schools, it's mostly welfare from middle class families. It's absolutely insane. I don't have a problem so much with like helping people out who are actually needy, but that's not what we're doing. We're literally redistributing. It's socialism. It's communism. It's what the communists did. Money from the crazy thing is it's mostly being taken from the middle class anyway. So it's basically just redistributing and adding this additional cost.
Except you have a middleman of the teachers unions and the whole
which ultimately increases the costs of operating the public school system.
And then they get all these teachers. I work with them back when I did substituting work, where they're all demanding more money. Elizabeth Warren says one of her campaign platforms is to give teachers more money. It's to pay teachers more money. They always complain, saying that they deserve to make more money than accountants or do whatever, because they're saving children, right? They're fixing children or doing whatever.
It's absolutely insane. And I'm not saying this is true across the board, but what some teachers are making between their pension benefits and their salary is it's absolutely insane. I mean, we're talking about millions of dollars, pension value over the course of basically a retired school teacher's, post-career lifespan, whatever they've got left is over $1 million basically in many cases worth of benefits. So it's
very easy. I mean,
I'm sorry, but there's very few people who in the private sector who are making that kind of
for
that kind
an
of
easy
money.
job. I shouldn't say easy, but it's a very comfortable job, right?
I'm not claiming it's easy, and I think I think you're gonna
but
upset
they
a lot
only
of
have to
people
work
by saying
180 days a year, right? Like they're only there for half the year.
Well, and that's the
but
thing.
They're not paid for
That's the
when
thing.
they're not working.
I don't necessarily. I'm not trying to. I don't think it's necessarily fair to say it's an easy job, but I think it is unfair to say that they should be making a six-figure salary when they're not working. 365 days. Well, not 365, but closer to
Vince, it's easier
365.
compared to anything average in the private sector, like lumberjacking or scaffolding.
Yeah, and they're getting a full year's salary, and they don't have to
and
work
they have
a whole year.
benefits. They have union protection.
The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE.
It's a dream job for some if they're able to handle kids.
Yep, 855-450-3733. Or even if they can't handle kids, because the ones that are some of the worst teachers still have their jobs.
Absolutely.
Deal with kids. A handle that has connotations.
There's more on the way, and we can continue to discuss homelessness and the terrible government gang solutions for it, which are obviously not working, and it's now coming to a head. This is Free Talk Live. Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. Local.bitcoin.com.
Free Talk Live is now on more than 200 radio stations nationwide. We've had more than 18 million podcast downloads, and we claim millions of listens a month. We're a multimedia ad venue with print, email, web, and terrestrial radio marketing platforms. We strive to have ad packages that cater to advertisers big and small. Contact me today at marketfreetalklive.com to see what we can do for you. Marketfreetalklive.com. If you're a local advertiser, contact this station. But if you can service a national audience, contact me, marketfreetalklive.com.
What good is living in a free society if you don't live a free life? Being stuck in a job or being locked into a relationship, but you're not free to do what you want. I'm Caleb Jones, and I have taught hundreds of thousands of men how to create low-work, high-income businesses and how to date women under your terms. Come to our free webinar with a live Q&A with me so you can learn how to create location-independent income and date women the way you want. Go to alpha.freetalklive.com.
Anarchapulco is the world's foremost conference for voluntarist thinkers and activists, held in beautiful Acapulco, Mexico. Share ideas on how to live free and escape the clutches of the state. Their unparalleled lineup of speakers will discuss entrepreneurship, investments, politics, philosophy, health, sustainability, lifestyles, and personal relationships. Stay in a world-class resort and enjoy the sun and beaches. February the 13th through the 16th, visit anarchapulco.com for early bird pricing and 10% off with coupon code FTL.
Free Talk Live.
So we had a guy call in on Saturday, and he was really kind of befuddled as to why anyone would alter their consciousness at all. Like, he had done a little bit of drinking when he was younger, but he's an older guy, and he just really couldn't get it. And I imagine it's really kind of difficult for somebody who doesn't get it. It's really easy to look down your nose at that point. I imagine it's really difficult for people like that to understand, but the fact is that if you're not altering your consciousness as a being on this planet, you're probably in the minority.
Or at some point in your life. Because some people, they kind of get out of it when they get older for whatever reason. They just get tired of it, or they've had enough of that experience.
By definition, caffeine is a drug.
Sure it is.
Absolutely. It's a consciousness-altering drug to some
Wait
extent.
until you give me a can of Diet Coke. I will flip out right here.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
I'm crazy about My Magic Mud. This is the most important oral care product created this millennium, and I'm not kidding. We all have different opinions on politics and issues, but we all have mouths. And I want yours to be as clean as possible, with teeth as bright as they were meant to be. I will never be without My Magic Mud. It's a little surprising, but man, does it work. If you only listen to one thing I say ever, go to mymagicmud.com and get 20% off with code FTL. mymagicmud.com, code FTL.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
It is Free Talk Live. You're invited if you want to join us here on the radio waves. Our number is 855-450-FREE like freedom. We're talking about property, public versus private, the tragedy of the commons coming to a head in this homeless conflict at the Supreme Court of the United States. We'll talk more about it on the way here. Plus, Liberty.menu is for libertarians who actually want to get the word out about their business. Libertarians for a long time, voluntarists, anarchists, people who care about freedom, have been wanting a good, easy-to-use, attractive business directory online, and they finally have it. It's liberty.menu. There have been a couple lackluster attempts in the past at this, and liberty.menu got it right. You can go to liberty.menu and use it for free, but you do have to be an individual who rejects the initiation of force and who agrees to abide by the ethics of the non-aggression principle. So liberty.menu is where you can go, you can rate, and you can review those businesses that are there. Also, if you've got digital content that you're the creator of, you can put up your content there, like a link to your show that you might have, or maybe an event that you're helping to promote or coordinate. For instance, ForkFest 2020 has an event on liberty.menu. So get on over there. You can use code FTL to get a special Free Talk Live listener badge. That's liberty.menu. As we continue here to discuss the story, it's a pretty important story, especially for people in cities where they have these ordinances that essentially prohibit homeless people from being in public places, like living on the sidewalk or in a city park or something like that. And at least 20, according to the Los Angeles Times, at least 20 friend of the court briefs were filed in this particular case that is now going all the way up to the Supreme Court. It was based on the city of Boise, but it could have been anywhere because there's a lot of these cities that have these ordinances that essentially make it illegal for homeless people to be or sleep or whatever, set up camp in certain spots. And that's what's being appealed because the Ninth Circuit actually ruled in favor of saying, well, if the city doesn't have any space for them in their homeless shelters, then you got to let them live on the streets. You got to let them live on the sidewalk in front of people's businesses, which is crazy, but that's what they're saying. And, of course, the only other option is to say that, oh, it's totally fine. Go arrest people, peaceful people, for just trying to live in the park. Because I don't care if a homeless person is living in, the forest. That doesn't get in the way of anybody.
Seems like the better place for them.
Yeah, well, it's not as convenient to the bar or the convenience store, right? So
it's not as convenient. Wouldn't it be better for them to be living in the park than outside the sidewalk in the? I'm
saying for the homeless person whose priority is to get drunk every day, it's more convenient to live near the bar, right?
I would think they wouldn't be serving. Well, yeah, I don't know. It's a good question.
The homeless people beg for money.
Yeah.
They're going to take it into the bar or the convenience store, and they're going to buy alcohol
or
with
gas station. I remember at a homeless camp I stayed at once, their favorites was they would get these tall boys for like either $2 or $1.50, and it was like Milwaukee's, or I forget exactly what it was.
The cheapest possible.
Yeah, it was at the Irving gas station, and anytime they had extra money, they stayed away from like the hard liquor because that's what they got problems with. But anytime they had beer money, it was immediately to the this was Hanover, so bars were more expensive. But yeah, I don't imagine homeless people going to bars just in general anyway.
Yeah, wouldn't that be the more expensive way to buy alcohol anyway?
Yeah, you're probably right. Going to the convenience store. But either way, the convenience store isn't located right next to the park. It's located in downtown or whatever, right? So, and they can beg easier if they're downtown.
I don't know about these cities so much, but I certainly I'm aware of Keene, and in Keene it seems like they actually go they walk a pretty far distance from where they usually hang out and where housing and so forth is in the city. They basically go down all the way over to West Keene, like the other side of the city, just like to do the begging.
Really?
I don't know when you get on and off the on ramps.
Oh yeah. Well, that's because there's a large amount of traffic.
Right, but I find it interesting because to suggest that they're not willing to go a distance.
Some aren't. They're all different.
Yeah, you're probably right, but it just seems like there's such a consistency.
There are some
to
homeless
people being there. I don't know. It seems like it's hard to imagine that.
Some homeless want to live in the woods.
It seems like we're stereotyping, almost, because it doesn't seem like. I mean, I guess they were.
It's not my intention to stereotype.
No, I mean these are anecdotal stories. Like I remember somewhere in Vermont, it was during Veterans Day at my high school when we had Veterans Talk, and there was like a whole colony living underneath a bridge that was like this old bridge in the woods, and that was the only way these veterans, these combat vets who had like PTSD and all sorts of issues, that was the only way that they could live. They couldn't live in normal society. They had to live in a camp structure. They had to just live away from non-vets, and it's most probably for the best for everyone. Them and the I don't want to say regular people, but that they had a space for themselves.
So we heard the argument from the cities in this case. Again, a bunch of cities filed friend of the court briefs in this case, saying, well, we need to have the ability to enforce these laws to clean up the streets. These guys are crapping everywhere. But the attorneys for the homeless said the high court should turn away the appeal. They argue the cities are giving a distorted and dramatically overwrought reading of the Ninth Circuit's decision. Maria Foscarinis, executive director of the National Law Center on Homeless and Poverty, said the ruling, quote, rests on the fundamental principle that you can't criminalize people because of their status. In this case, it's the status of being human with no place to live. She said she'd hoped the ruling would prevent cities from, quote, going down the path of criminalization when dealing with homelessness. The justices will also consider the appeal behind closed doors.
That's normal.
Is that really?
Yeah, that's
They don't
like
have public
standard.
hearings for the Supreme Court?
Yeah, that's standard.
Interesting. I didn't know that. Because here in New Hampshire, the Supreme Court in New Hampshire, you can go watch.
Well, that's a state court. This is not a state court.
I understand that.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the rules are of the Supreme Court.
Other states might be that way too, but New Hampshire's different.
Although they could decide on Friday to consider the case, they're unlikely to. Well, okay, I guess considering the appeal is different than hearing the appeal, right? So, like,
right.
New Hampshire has a hearing, but you don't get to hear the judges debate one another. You only get to hear the judges ask questions of the attorneys. That's what happens in New Hampshire's court. So you don't hear the consideration.
Okay. You know what I'm thinking of actually is the actual trials. They don't allow the cameras in at the federal level.
You can't even get an audio recorder into a federal courtroom. Justices could decide on Friday to consider the case. They are unlikely to announce a decision for at least another week. 4 votes on the 9. Okay, I'm sorry. I thought they'd already decided to consider the case. Story here.
They did have so there was a lower court that did make a decision on something or other there, and then this is whether or not it's going to be seen at the higher
so they
court.
haven't necessarily accepted the case yet. That's what they're
I think this is like the Supreme Court, whereas the other was just a federal circuit
Ninth
court.
Circuit ruled in favor of the homeless, basically.
Right.
Los Angeles attorney said he's urged the court to take up the case because the city is seeking clarity. The Ninth Circuit's opinion was confusing and at times contradictory, he said, adding it was unclear whether police could enforce any or some laws against people living in the streets. Los Angeles cannot promise it can provide shelter for all of 36,000 homeless people who are living on the streets. That's more than the number of people that live in the city of Keene, by the way. But he says it can provide shelter for some of them, and it's not clear whether officers may take enforcement action against those who refuse to go to a nearby shelter that has space for them. He also said it was not clear how much authority the police have to enforce rules against blocking sidewalks, cooking food, spewing garbage, or other quality of life issues. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Where should you be free to live? You can take control of the airwaves and bring up whatever you want here on Free Talk Live.
She seems happier. Her fur is so much shinier, silkier, softer. She has really mellowed a lot.
Sheba is 105 lean pounds of shiny, smooth, happy dog for life.
The shedding has stopped. The itching has stopped.
Since 2001, we've helped more than 250,000 dogs get over their nutritional deficiency miseries.
And saved our customers bazillions in vet bills.
Everything we tried failed except the Dynovite.
Come to Dynovite for help.
DINOVITE.com.
If you want the dog to be healthy, you got to feed it something healthy.
The omega-3 fatty acids, flaxseed, zinc, alfalfa, the digestive enzymes that are cooked out of regular dog food. Dynovite is nutrition.
Dynovite for life.
Don't let your dog itch, scratch, stink, or shed like crazy.
Come to Dynovite for help.
859-428-1000.
859-428-1000.
DINOVITE.com.
The political world is a maddening cesspool of corruption and lies. Nobody tells the truth. Nobody keeps campaign promises. Nobody obeys the Constitution. Nobody puts the people first. How can we ever escape this web of tyranny? Vote for nobody.
Hi, my name is Nobody. I'm running for governor of New Hampshire because nobody knows how to live your life better than you do, and nobody deserves that kind of power. I want to put you back in control of your money, your lifestyle, your work, your body, and your life. Nobody should rule you but you. New Hampshire convicts many people of so-called crimes that should never have been prosecuted. If elected, I will pardon every victimless crime in New Hampshire history. This includes drug, gambling, prostitution, gun, and driving offenses. Nobody should have a criminal record when they have not harmed anybody.
Wouldn't it be nice to have nobody telling you what to do? Learn more at electnobody.com. electnobody.com.
There are basically two types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm. Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live, and you can bring up what you want. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We also have the Discord call-in line rooms. You can join us over at discord.lrn.fm. And in the studio tonight, it's Ian.
And Chris.
And Vincent.
Plus, want to make sure you know about helpmetakebitcoin.com. You're ready to start accepting cryptocurrency at your point of sale in your local business. Get on over to helpmetakebitcoin.com. They can help you, and it is way easier than you think it's going to be. Maybe you have no experience whatsoever with crypto. They're going to walk you through the process of setting up your own cryptocurrency wallet. That's step one. And then you download the AnyPay app for iOS or Android devices. There's also a version of AnyPay for web browsers, so any old web browser can do this too. Very, very handy stuff because it's free to accept cryptocurrencies. You don't have to jump through ridiculous hoops. You don't have to apply for some kind of an account. You just create the account. Username, password, boom, you're done. There's no bureaucrat that has to make a decision. There's no banker that's standing in between you and your ability to take cryptocurrency. The only thing that's in the way is you just haven't yet gone to helpmetakebitcoin.com. You just have to go and get it done. And you can start accepting Bitcoin and Dash, Bitcoin Cash, over at helpmetakebitcoin.com. As we go to your calls and thoughts, we can talk more about the homeless case in front of the Supreme Court that they may or may not be deciding to take. First, Tom is in New Hampshire. You're on Free Talk Live.
Yeah, I was just thinking, what would be really funny would be if they also decide to impeach not just President Trump, but let's say some cabinet member for conspiracy or obstruction of justice or something. So then they subpoena Donald Trump's papers because they want to prove that this other person, or they subpoena with relation to his own papers with regard to this impeachment inquiry.
What kind of papers are we talking about here?
Oh, any White House records that they want for their inquiry, and he says no. And he says they can't subpoena him because he's special. Yes, we can. No, you can't. Yes, we can. No, you can't. And so they hold him in contempt. And, of course, they can't enforce that on him because he's special. Yes, we can. No, you can't. Yes, we can. No, you can't. And then so they wait until the January, and they invite him on in for the State of the Union address. and he gets up there and he's babbling away about what a great job he's been doing managing the economy and signing this and presiding over the government, and he's on live camera and millions of people are watching all over the world. Wouldn't it be hilarious if the Sergeant at Arms goes up there with the U.S. Capitol Police and they cuff him and take him away?
On what basis?
That's not how impeachment works. I don't think that's how it works. And then secondly, even if let's say they were able to get Capitol Police to do that, I imagine they're that corrupt. There's a reason why Trump is surrounded by Marines and private security. You know, what was it? Eric Prince, who's the founder of what was it, Blackwater, and then now whatever it's called. He's very close to Trump, so Trump, could have his own personal private military SS. The Marines answer directly to the president, so I don't think under any circumstance Trump would, well, maybe not under any, but I find it highly, I doubt it that Trump is just going to let himself get arrested.
It's never going to happen. Yeah. Because it's all just for show.
People said Trump never would have gotten elected, and I would never say never. It's unlikely. I do think it's very unlikely.
Highly unlikely.
All right. Back up a moment. So let me catch up on this. Is this just more Democrat nonsense, or is he actually been impeached or something? Like,
no.
Is there news?
He has not been impeached.
Okay. So then what? Why does this conversation continue?
I'm paying no attention to it either.
That's the thing. They filed articles, I believe, or at least in the process, and maybe the caller knows more, filing articles of impeachment.
Do this
No, they've been wanting to. No, well, yeah, they failed the Mueller report. Now that they're pulling up the Ukraine thing sort of out of thin air.
They have nothing, and it won't matter anyway because, as was pointed out, the Senate is controlled by the Republicans. So even if they do come down with the impeachment on Trump, it won't go anywhere. It won't actually be, he won't be convicted in the Senate, right? So it's done.
I think
it's already done before it's even happened. But if it happens, it's only happening for political reasons.
It's possible that there are enough turncoat Republicans or Republicans who hate Trump who are being blackmailed or whatever.
You think?
I do think it's possible, depending on what. Like if they pull at its current rate, I don't think so. I think
but wouldn't those
weak.
Turncoat Republicans, I mean, the ones that in theory might do something, wouldn't they also be putting their own reelection in jeopardy in that case? Because the Republicans have gotten behind Trump, right? Like, there's a tremendous amount of support for
many
Trump.
Begrudgingly. But
I mean the rank and file. I'm talking about
you have many Republicans who are retiring early now when it's very inopportune for them to do so, and there's some speculation that something's being held against them, or for some other incentive for them to drop out, because the more Republicans that resign, well, then that's the more leverage Democrats get. So I think if because
wouldn't they just be replaced by more Republicans?
No, because then they'd have to be.
There was one in the Senate. There was a senator who retired due to health issues, and I saw the headline. It was posted in our crypto chat group here in the Keene area, because I guess the woman who was selected to replace this senator, I think it was Georgia, one of the southern states, she was selected to replace him. She's like a crypto CEO or something like that.
Oh yeah.
I mean, she's awful from what I didn't read a whole lot about her, but she's like pro-war, pro-wall, pro-this, pro-that, all these, pro-government stuff. So, like, it's not good news or anything like that. But I'm sure the guy she replaced was also awful. So
I do believe. I mean, at
they
least the way
appoint
I view
people
it,
for replacement.
It's a zero. Well, but eventually that seat's going to be open. So I think it is a zero-sum game.
But that doesn't mean that the Democrat will get it. It just means it's an opportunity for somebody to get in. If it's a Republican district, the odds that Democrat is going to win are pretty slim. In the same way, the odds of Republican winning a seat in California. Pretty slim.
Things are. I mean, like, what was it? A governor in Louisiana, that was a Democrat. Louisiana's been a red state for many decades. It has now a Democrat governor. Alabama, it's been a red state, for decades, and not Luther Strange, was he ever? I forget the guy's name.
Yeah, but has the rest of the state legislature changed out? Just because the governor changes out doesn't mean that it doesn't necessarily mean anything.
I'm just saying that these are examples
Keene is a
of
lefty
change.
town. Keene, New Hampshire is a hard lefty town for New Hampshire, but they elected a Republican this year to the mayoral seat. In fact, I think the current mayor is a Republican.
Yes. Well, I mean,
not that means anything.
But yeah,
they're
so it's a crapshoot.
Yeah.
So just because it's in a Republican district doesn't necessarily mean it's going to go to a Republican.
And I don't care either way, because they're all awful. It doesn't matter. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm just talking about in regards to the caller's question.
Thank you for the call, by the way, Tom. I
Between
appreciate
it. Trump and the Democrats and the deep state, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, I mean, whoever wins, we lose.
Sean Hannity, Kabuki Theater.
Yeah, sounds about right. Yeah, it doesn't matter who wins. The freedom will be lesser, regardless of whether it's Democrats or Republicans. Because the Democrats hate Trump right now, but they're going to love all the power that Trump has aggregated to the presidency once a Democrat gets in control.
And they're advocating to do even more than what Trump has done. So,
indeed. All right, so back to the homeless story, and then we'll get into the face scanning technology coming up here in a moment. But a little bit more background. The right to sleep on sidewalks is not a new issue, according to the Los Angeles Times for L.A. In 2006, the Ninth Circuit handed down a similar ruling in a different case called Jones versus Los Angeles, where the appeals court said at that time that the city could not enforce an ordinance against homeless individuals, quote, for involuntarily sitting, lying, and sleeping in public. Rather than appeal that case, the city reached a settlement with the attorneys who brought suit, and they agreed to not enforce restrictions on sleeping or camping from 9 p.m. until 6 a.m. That rule remains in force. In their brief to the High Court, the city's attorney suggested the earlier ruling contributed to the current crisis in Los Angeles. Quote, as a result of the Jones litigation, L.A. has experienced firsthand 11 years of grappling with the delicate balance required when public sidewalks serve two essentially incompatible functions. The sidewalks are home to thousands of unsheltered residents and their belongings, while at the same time serving as the access way for wheelchair-bound pedestrians who need passable sidewalks, children who need safe passage to school, and business owners who require accessible storefronts. Tragedy of the commons. This is it. This is what happens when there's supposed public property. There's constantly a struggle, and it gets worse over time with how it should be used. What's the appropriate use for these things? Now some bureaucrats are going to make a decision at the Supreme Court. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. This is Free Talk Live.
Would you like to get back that full head of hair from years past? Introducing Reveal from GCNLife.com. Beverly Hills dermatologist Dr. Nathan Newman invented Reveal, which contains polypeptides with natural botanicals and no parabens, sulfates, silicones, or dyes for a salon-quality hair growth product. Reveal. Here's Dr. Newman.
I have treated a lot of patients who lose their hair and they lose their confidence. We've created a unique set of polypeptides, which we call HPT6. The HPT6 contains the polypeptides from 6 different plants. The scalp infusion treatment should be used on wet or dry scalp. The Reveal hair care system is designed to be used for men and women alike.
Get Reveal at GCNLife.com with a 30-day money-back guarantee. So try Reveal today at GCNLife.com or 844-443-6637. Plus a discount up to 25% off for Reveal at GCNLife.com or 844-443-6637.
We can all agree these are troubled times, right? So do you know who's on your wireless network? Whether it's a big company selling your data or a foreign hacker, if you're not protected, everybody sees your information. That's why you need Flash Routers, a custom Wi-Fi router created for privacy. Flash Routers uses a virtual private network, or VPN, to protect your online activity from hackers, trackers, and large corporations. And not just one, but all your devices with one out-of-the-box setup. Plus, Flash Routers also enhances your wireless network performance and unlocks powerful router management tools to let you take total control of your network. Call or click Flash Routers today at 1-866-509-5817 or FLASHROUTERS.com. That's 1-866-509-5817 or FlashRouters.com. Protect your wireless home network today with Flash Routers.
I've been told no in many different ways.
I give you an order and you're going to obey it.
George, you can go this way. You can't do that and you have to leave here.
You cannot bring signs into the rally.
Walk with me.
Well, I'm comfortable here, actually. Whoa, hey,
Who do you think you
Excuse me.
There is no video and audio allowed in this office.
No, I have work today.
You ain't going to make it.
Wait on account. Now. Wait a minute.
Holy crap. Whoa. Hey! Oh my
my God! Unbelievable!
Why are you running from me?
Because you scared me.
What am I being detained for? You're being served.
What is this?
You're being served.
What is this?
Bureaucrats have a funny way of telling people no.
That's the sound of the men working on the chain.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM. What do you shop for that you could otherwise buy at Amazon? Pretty much everything, right? Amazon has competitive pricing and they deliver, and that's a big plus. If you could plan ahead in your shopping, would you be interested in saving up to 33%? There's a catch. You have to do your shopping in Bitcoin. But imagine those savings. It's like a huge raise. All you have to do is go to saveatpurse.com. We've saved thousands, and you can too. Plan ahead and save. Saveatpurse.com.
Join the LRN.FM Discord for live chat 24/7 at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
It is Free Talk Live, and you can bring up whatever you want right here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Like freedom, that's 855-450-3733. We have the Discord call-in line rooms over at discord.lrn.fm. With you in the studio tonight, you've got Ian.
And Chris.
And Vincent.
Coming up, face scanning technology. And it's apparently maybe coming to an airport near you. I have not seen the story, but Chris, you're going to be telling us about it on the way here. It sounds Orwellian, creepy.
It is.
Very disturbing. So that's on the way. We've been talking about people living in the street, living on sidewalks, living in public parks. And there's a case that's coming up in front of the Supreme Court this week, or they're deciding whether they want to take it. And if they don't take it, then that means that the appeals court ruling from the Ninth Circuit would stand. And if the appeals court ruling stands, then essentially that means that the city, or whatever cities we're talking about here in the Ninth Circuit, that if they want to enforce rules against homeless people sleeping in the streets, they have to have a place for them to go. Meaning that if there's a homeless shelter that the city's running, or some homeless shelter, private maybe, and the city says, all right, well, homeless person, we've got a space for you. You've got to go there, so get going. Or we're going to force you to go there. That's essentially what, as I understand it, what the court has said. If there isn't any room, then that means the homeless person is allowed to sleep right there in the sidewalk. And as Los Angeles has pointed out here, the city of Los Angeles, they don't have enough room for their 36,000 homeless people. Boise was the original city that brought the case. There's dozens of cities, of course, that have signed on saying we need the ability to force these homeless people off sidewalks because, as they point out here, what about people in wheelchairs who need to get down the sidewalk? They've got to get from point A to point B, and there's some homeless guy laying under a blanket, playing with himself, or whatever.
I have to wonder. I mean, it seems like a great example of like a scenario where like I could kind of understand, oh yeah, we need to keep the sidewalks free for wheel. But how many wheelchair? I really have to wonder how much of a problem this actually is.
It's a problem if you're in a wheelchair. You can't ride that in the streets very easily. It's highly dangerous.
Right.
And there's some guy stretched across the sidewalk.
I mean, usually when guys don't. Okay, so this is my experience. Okay, I go into these cities and I walk around, but usually the sidewalks are like they're pretty big. Like there's usually room, and I don't usually see these people who are homeless like preventing me from like using the sidewalk.
You're not a cripple. You can step over.
I'm not a cripple, and that's just true. But I've never had to step over a cripple in any of the cities that I've been to. Right, or a homeless person. Sorry. And I don't know. Like maybe there's still in some places they're taking up too much of the sidewalk. And I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but like I haven't seen it, and I'd like to know from somebody who I would like to know from somebody. I'd like to hear from somebody who actually has living in these cities.
All right,
and
phones
whether or not,
phones are open. Yeah,
whether or not they are encountering this. Is it very rare? Does it happen all the time? Where you have to kind of walk around them because there's not enough room on the sidewalk, and they're just in really bad places on the sidewalk.
I think to some extent you may be. Okay, well, you don't see it, right? We don't see it.
Right.
We don't live in a place where it's that bad.
I mean, I traveled and I go to a lot of cities, like all over the place, all over the world.
But where do you go? Do you go to the residential areas or do you go to the business areas?
The places where you would expect to see a homeless person, right? Like
not necessarily.
Not always, they keep some places nice.
Some places are worse than others. I mean, Skid Row isn't the same as the other parts.
I've been. What is Square Skid Row? Is that on
in Los Angeles somewhere?
Do you think you'd find a bunch of Broadway, right? Broadway or Times Square. That's a very popular place, right? You'd think there'd be plenty of homeless people, but
no, there's too many people. I mean, it would be a terrible place to be homeless.
If let's say the homeless decided to show up in the middle of the night and just camp there, I bet you NYPD is going to kick them out because it's awful for business, right? We're going to kick them out and put them into some poor neighborhood.
That's what the case is about.
Isn't that private anyway?
What Times? Well, I mean, I'm just saying, like it could be Rue Saint Catherine in Montreal, or it could be any other place.
I might be thinking of where they had set up the Christmas tree every year.
I would say
Rockefeller.
Yeah, Rockefeller Center, I think, is private.
Depending on how drunk or drug-addled the homeless person is going to be a factor on how considerate they are, right? Like, if this homeless guy is so S-face drunk, he's just going to plop wherever he got to plop to fall asleep, right? Boom. He's going to get in the way of whoever he needs to get in the way of. The average homeless person, if they're not S-faced or whatever, they probably don't want people stepping on them, right? So they're probably going to orient themselves in a way that is not going to necessarily take up as much room, but you're going to see it. I've seen it, dude. Yeah. I've definitely seen homeless people just stretched out, taking up as much of the sidewalk as they possibly can.
Like I said, I'm not saying it doesn't happen.
It does.
But beyond,
and if you're in a wheelchair, what do you do?
Usually sidewalks are like pretty large where I've seen like the homeless tending to more.
Sure, but is there enough room for somebody in a wheelchair to get around these people?
And they go to the sidewalks when they don't have room else in like the alleyways or the parks. It's not like they just say, hey, I'm just going to plant on the sidewalk.
Like I said, I'm not saying it doesn't happen. It just seems like the places that I think of when I think of like homeless that I've seen over the years,
I've seen it,
they tend to be like a little bit off the beaten path.
Yeah.
So people don't trip over.
That's your personal experience.
Anecdotal.
Right. It is. Yes, I do want to point out this is anecdotal. That's why I'm kind of interested in
and I've
somebody
had
who
different
has
experiences.
more.
I don't live in a city, and I've seen it.
Right. Well, and this is why I would love to hear from somebody who actually lives in a city.
Okay,
in one
I'm
of
telling
these
you,
cities.
I've not lived in a city, and I've seen it.
Right. And I'm not surprised that you have seen it. I'm just saying I would like to know from somebody who lives in the city.
Too, but
I think that would be a better antidote than us two talking about it on the radio who don't neither of us live in the city.
And beyond being like a nuisance for someone in a wheelchair, also I've seen news reports about all these just the hygienic issues. If you have all these diseases that at least in that part of the country is supposed to be eradicated, but because of the just poor hygiene, human waste and bodily fluid just everywhere.
They're peeing somewhere, and it ain't in a toilet.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we had bubonic plague coming back to this country because of all the it's unfortunately a mental illness.
There was some dude outside of a convenience store. The last time I was in New York, every time I'm in New York, I see homeless people sleeping in the streets and just splayed out, taking up as much room as they don't care.
Wait, so which city is this?
In New York City.
In New York, okay.
It was outside of a Dwayne Reed or something like that, one of those 24-hour stores. Middle of the day.
Yep.
Some guy's just sitting there, laying out he's got a blanket or whatever. He's got a bunch of trash bags full of junk that he's just strewn about everywhere, and he's just sitting right out in front of the store. I mean, it's the most unattractive thing, and they can't do anything about it. They can't get rid of him.
That seems to be the problem. The bigger problem to me is
it's a huge problem.
Is homeless people camping out right outside of the businesses.
That is a huge problem.
Not so much them camping out like taking up the whole sidewalk, but
some of them are using tents. Now, I haven't seen that in New York City, but that's what's happening in places like Portland.
Seattle, for sure, I've seen that. I've seen that in Seattle.
How much room does that take up on a sidewalk?
Well, I haven't ever seen that on a sidewalk, but I have seen it like under bridges and on grassy areas like where you probably don't want to be.
It's definitely happening. The toll-free number tonight
I don't doubt it, but
is 855-450-FREE. And again, even if it isn't happening as much as some people might think it is, it still is happening, and it becomes an issue. It is an issue, who has the right to be in this place? Well, everybody does. It's public property. So the only solution is to end public property and make it so it's private property and make it so private property owners can make decisions about this. How do you do that? Well, here's my suggestion. You cede the public property to whatever private property owners are abutting it, right? So if you've got a downtown area with a sidewalk and a street, you give the chunk of the sidewalk that's right out in front of that business to whoever owns building.
I feel like that's not going to solve the problem, really. I mean,
why not?
Because people break the law regardless of what the law is.
Then they get arrested for criminal trespass.
Right, but that doesn't really solve the problem.
It sure as hell does.
I mean, these people get arrested and then they get released right away. It doesn't really solve the problem.
If you keep getting arrested in a place, you're going to stop going there.
When it's illegal to be homeless and you have no place to go, you're just going to keep getting arrested.
You'll go somewhere else where you're not as likely to get arrested.
Maybe not.
Well, that's why hobos would travel from place to place, because they get kicked out or people would get fed up with them, so they go to the next town.
I honestly, like I said, I think the problem.
That's what happens in Rambo.
I think the problem is more along the regulatory front and the zoning front, because they're not allowing shelters to be built for these people, and they're making them jump through all these hoops, and the costs go up.
But you still haven't solved the problem of public property. That's not a bad idea, Chris.
Yeah.
And you should do that too. We should get rid of zoning. I totally agree.
I think that's going to have a bigger impact on whether or not there's people living on the streets in
maybe so.
Taking up homeless shelters.
It still doesn't solve the problem of public property. Even if homelessness isn't a problem, public property is still a problem. Even in a place where homelessness is not a problem at all, it's still an issue, because if you don't own your property and the government does, they get to decide things. So another example of this
the problem is that private property isn't really private to begin with. The government acts as if it owns it anyway.
We have a bigger property taxes. I get what you're saying.
We have a bigger problem than whether or not you...
I agree with you, but if you actually let private property owners own the property that's now public, they get to decide what to do with it. You want to put a sign out? Put the damn sign out. You don't have to go beg permission from the government to put a sign on your own property. I mean, business owners that try to actually promote their business, they got to jump through all kinds of ridiculous government hoops because it's public property in a lot of cases. More coming up here. We'll talk about the face scanners that are coming up.
You ever feel like you're in jail, a virtual jail, because of your job or maybe your current relationship, where you're not allowed to do what you really want? I'm Caleb Jones, and I've taught hundreds of thousands of men how to create low-work, high-income businesses and how to date women under your terms. Come to our free webinar with a live Q&A with me so you can learn how to create location-independent income and date women the way you want. Go to alpha.freetalklive.com.
Have you heard of LibertyCon? LibertyCon is not only a convention with great speakers like Whole Foods CEO and co-founder John Mackey and Nobel Prize winner Vernon Smith, but it's also unique because you get a chance to network with more than 70 pro-liberty organizations, one-on-one for the purpose of career advancement, business, and internship opportunities. April 3rd through 5th in Washington, D.C. You can learn more by visiting LibertyCon.com and use code FTL for a $10 discount on your registration. That's LibertyCon.com.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is the Liberty Beat, your daily source for liberty news and activist updates. Produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. Online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow with your latest edition of the Liberty Beat. Gold is trading at $1,476, silver at $16.96, and Bitcoin is trading around $7,378. Today's prices are brought to you by InnoScale. Take off with Managed Cloud. Looking for a safe, secure way to store your important files online? Let InnoScale handle it for you. Their high availability cloud servers are the perfect solution for clients needing one or more secure, scalable servers with built-in hardware failover protection. For details, see them online at innoscale.net. In the news, 5 of Jeffrey Epstein's accusers have said that the Duke of York was witness to the act of girls giving massages to adults at his various properties. And now the accuser's lawyer plans to serve subpoenas to Prince Andrew to testify as a witness in their cases. While the prince contends he did not witness or even suspect any activities for which Epstein has either been convicted or accused, the lawyer for the 5 women, David Boyce, says the Duke of York may have important information related to their cases. The Mind Unleashed reports the subpoenas have been prepared, but must be signed off by a judge after the prince sets foot on U.S. soil. He can then challenge the subpoenas in order to avoid providing evidence if he wishes. Spencer Kubin, a lawyer who represents many of Epstein's alleged victims and once questioned the billionaire a decade ago, has urged the prince to come forward, saying on BBC Radio 4's Today, quote, "Be a man, stand up for what you believe, and what you're saying is the truth, and come forward," end quote. The Liberty Beat is sponsored in part by Brave Botanicals. High-quality kratom and CBD at reasonable prices with excellent customer service. Brave Botanicals is activist-owned and mission-driven, and believes so strongly in the power of kratom, they're giving it away for free. Just go to freeounceofkratom.com for a free ounce of kratom delivered to your door. Just pay shipping. That's freeounceofkratom.com. This is the latest edition of the Liberty Beat. Find us online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. Your news now continues. Despite having gotten away with murder, Neighborhood Watch volunteer George Zimmerman has filed a $100 million lawsuit against the family of Trayvon Martin and attorney Ben Crump, claiming that they engineered false evidence against him. The Mind Unleashed reports that Zimmerman, who was acquitted of homicide charges in the 2012 shooting death of 17-year-old Trayvon Martin, is being represented by high-profile lawyer, founder of Judicial Watch and Freedom Watch, and former U.S. Department of Justice prosecutor Larry Klayman, in a lawsuit seeking damages for defamation, abuse of civil process, and conspiracy. Martin was shot and killed February 26, 2012, when he was returning to his father's home, whom he was visiting, after purchasing candy at a local store. Zimmerman reported Martin as suspicious in a call to police. Zimmerman claims he followed Martin after making the call and was attacked by the teen before killing him. Martin was unarmed, carrying only the Skittles and a drink he had just purchased. The Trump administration on Wednesday announced new measures that would end food stamp benefits for nearly 750,000 low-income people. The new rules would make it difficult for states to gain waivers from a requirement that beneficiaries work or participate in a vocational training program, according to a report from Bloomberg. Republicans have long attempted to make the change. House Republicans tried to cut parts of the federal food assistance program last year, but it was quickly rejected in the Senate. The new requirements by the Trump administration would only target able-bodied recipients who are not caring for children under the age of 6. Sources said the measure would be one of 3 enacted by the Trump administration to wind down the massive federal food assistance program. The measures are expected to boot nearly 3.7 million recipients from the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, known as SNAP. Support for the Liberty Beat comes from the Conscious Resistance Network, featuring videos, news reports, and articles from a spiritual anarchist perspective. Experience the Conscious Resistance at theconsciousresistance.com. How would you like to have your business featured on the Liberty Beat? You can. Just send an email to libertybeat@snls.news for details. This is the Liberty Beat, produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. The Liberty Beat is online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow, reporting for the Liberty Beat, reminding you, spread liberty with a smile.
A cool guy from middle school is still sporting his fat pair of Jinkos. A stunned St. Peter's Square crowd hears the Pope getting bitched out by God. And an 8th grader caked in makeup is probably really confident. This is The Onion Week in Review. This week, a Pew Research Center poll found that the vast majority of Americans would watch a television show called Love Trap, with most saying that regardless of the show's genre or quality, they would tune in weekly to see its stars stumble into romantic triangles, double-cross one another, and contend with whatever the titular love trap refers to. The survey confirmed that 62% of Americans would likely watch Love Trap to see a shrewd but cold-hearted Southern belle named Tammy. 23% of the nation hoped the show would be referred to as The Trap by its most loyal fans, and 15% of respondents said they simply needed something to watch. And in this week's Science News, a biologist completes a 5-minute study of the pathetic organism in his mirror. In other news, a man confidently hits send on the worst job application a company has ever seen.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
Free Talk Live, launching into the third hour of this program. You can dial in toll free. You can bring up what you want. We've been discussing homelessness and the tragedy of the commons of public property and what to do about it. But coming up right now, we're going to get into the story that Chris, you brought in about face scanning technology and the government's airports, where people are subjected to all kinds of pawing and searching and privacy invasions, all in the name of keeping you safe from terror. By the way, Ian, Chris, and Vincent in the studio. Go ahead.
Yeah.
And where's the story from, by the way?
This story is from Reuters, and its title is U.S. Homeland Security proposes face scans for U.S. citizens. Now, let's back up a moment, because this is already happening to people who are not U.S. citizens when they enter the United States. So this isn't new. It's just now getting a lot of backlash because, well, now they're going to expand it.
Surprise.
Now it's going to affect you.
They were testing the technology on them foreigners.
Because they don't have a vote. They don't have the
same rights according to the government goons, which, by the way, I'd like to clarify, all human beings have rights. That's the whole point behind the idea of rights.
And you know what people fail to remember is that when we do stuff like this, what do you think is going to happen when you go to another country?
When you say we, you mean the government goons?
I mean the people.
When the people do stuff like what?
If our government does this to foreigners, right? What do you think when you visit another country is going to happen to you when you're a foreigner in another land?
It's actually not as bad in most places. I don't go. I'm not like one of these world travelers or whatever. But the few places I have been,
I know,
including Japan and Mexico, way easier.
Well, they didn't let Mark into Japan.
Well, that didn't have to do with their security.
So
it did have to do. They don't let people like Mark in.
Well,
they don't let
but that wasn't necessarily a retaliatory action by Japan because other countries were doing it.
No, I agree. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I mean, so here's the thing, right? So there are examples, and lots of them, where one country will do something to another country's citizens, and then
they'll do it back,
and then it will happen back.
Yeah, that's
because it's retaliatory, and that's usually how things go like this.
That's true.
So the idea that you think, oh well, it's not you because you're a citizen of the U.S. Yeah, but it will happen to you. It just won't happen when you're here. It'll happen when you travel to somewhere else.
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong necessarily about that possibility. But that said, I've never had to take my belt off. I've never had to take my shoes off when being screened by security in Mexico or in Japan.
Yeah, both Canada and Europe have basically taken retaliatory steps because of what U.S. actions post 9/11.
So what's it like when you go to Europe, when you go through their customs there?
That's a good question. Let's see.
I've never been to Europe.
I went to Europe this summer. I don't know if, when was the last time you went. I could. I went to.
I think you went this year, right?
I did go this year. I don't remember when it was, but it was in the past year. And yeah, I entered in London, and then I moved into, but I don't think I passed through customs until I hit.
Now, is there
Amsterdam?
Is there uniformity between London and all the other parts of Europe, or is London like worse than the rest of Europe?
Well, it's for all airports, and I imagine the European Union has a considerable bit of control in it. Like I went from Boston for whatever airport in Boston to Dublin, and then to France, and it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be, especially compared to like coming into the States. I was able to. I didn't know if I was allowed to bring. I think somewhere I saw it said you can't bring like meats or something, and I had some pate.
They don't let you do that anywhere.
Oh, whoops. Well, okay, that's maybe. Okay, so all right.
Something
I'm
you might
gonna
not want to
stop
talk about
talking,
in there.
Yeah, well, no, it doesn't matter. But so it wasn't as bad as I thought. They just like look at your I forget if I don't think I even had to. Maybe I had to take off my my shoes coming back into the States, but
no, I'm asking about what it was like getting into Europe.
Oh, it was easy. It was very easy. No issue at all. But that's the thing though, because I was coming from the United States, it's fair to assume that since just going into an American airport, you have to go through all the security, you have to take off your shoes, you have to get molested, you have to get naked pictures of you taken through the naked body scanners, that they could afford, your airports in like Europe could afford to not have as strict measures of people coming from the States.
That's not the way.
Well, because they had yes, it is, because they had two lines. They said if you're coming from an EU country, go through this line. If you're coming from the United States, go through this line.
Well, that's customs you're talking about.
Yeah, when I was going back through.
Well, what if you were coming from South America?
I don't know. I did not come from South America.
I think every country has that process, pretty much. I don't know, and that's probably another example of a retaliatory type of situation by dividing up, people who are citizens and not citizens into two separate lines. They're prioritizing their own citizens,
right? But
not
he was sounding like that's common, though.
They had different. We had different documents. We had different documents. The people from the EU, they had an EU passport. Me, I had my American passport and Canadian.
Right, but are you saying there was a line specific for the U.S. citizens, or was it EU people and everyone else? Because usually that's how it is.
It's EU and everyone else.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because there was someone from Singapore.
Same thing's true in the U.S. It's you're a U.S. citizen or you're everyone else.
Yeah.
And what you're saying is here the face scanners are on the everyone else side
exactly
of customs, but now they're talking about bringing it to everybody.
Yes, they're talking about expanding it. So the Trump administration intends to propose a regulation next year that would require all travelers, including U.S. citizens, to be photographed when entering or leaving the United States, according to the administration's regulatory agenda.
Just photographed?
Well, they're going to then use that for facial recognition on those.
See.
But yeah.
Well, nearly every single U.S. citizen already is photographed through government ID or even just through government school.
Yeah, they've already got you in a database.
Yeah, so it's like a moot point at this point.
It's not because, and here's the reason it's not. It's not because this is information that they can then look up, your fingerprint. It's like a fingerprint. It's like taking a fingerprint. It's more intrusive than just a photograph from afar.
But this is already happening. This is what I was trying to tell you off the air.
It is.
Is that, already happening for U.S. citizens.
It is. Are you talking about the state databases?
I'm talking about
real ID.
Coming back into an airport from an international flight. I've had it happen to me every time I come back from Mexico. I had it happen at JFK, and I had it happen in Houston, where you come back in, and there's the line for the U.S. people, and then there's a line for the other people. I go the line for the U.S. people, and then they have these kiosks that you go up to one of these kiosks, and you have to stand in front of it and look into a camera, and it takes your picture, and then it prints out a slip with your photo on it. So, like, in case you doubted that it was taking your picture, it's taking your picture, and then you take that slip up to the agent at the desk, and then they process you, and they send you to either further screening or they push you through.
Don't recall the photograph printing out or anything, but I do recall the machines you're talking about. So that's kind of interesting.
Which airport have you come back into? JFK?
LaGuardia, I believe. Yeah, or no, not LaGuardia. Logan, sorry.
That's Boston.
Yeah, Boston. Right.
Yeah, so, I don't know about Boston.
But yeah.
So it may not be in every international airport yet.
Maybe
That's a possibility. But I've definitely had my photograph taken coming back in.
Most certainly. Well, so here's the thing. They might not have been doing facial recognition. They might have just been taking... Well, yeah, that's a really weird question. Why would they be taking your photograph and then not doing... It might be that they were taking your photograph and not doing the facial recognition part of it.
Maybe.
So then when
but
you
the equipment's there. It's ready to roll.
Right. So basically what they're probably doing is they're taking your picture, printing out the photograph, then you taking it to the customs... Or not the customs, but the...
It's customs.
No, I guess it is customs. Yeah. It's still customs. The customs officer, and the custom officer looks at it and compares your photograph to the passport, presumably, or I'm guessing that's what's going on. Yeah, because that's kind of what I recall happening, but I don't necessarily know, like we don't know that the facial recognition part of it was happening with U.S. citizens, and I guess that's what they're saying is it's not happening right now.
But all they got to do is the story you have here says they're talking about a regulation, so this isn't a law. This is just the bureaucracy saying, this is going to be the rule now. We're changing the rule.
Well, also, you say that it's not going on. Well, no, I'd like to amend that. They haven't stated publicly that it's going on. Because remind everything Edward Snowden said about PRISM.
Yeah.
PRISM and all. And God knows that's just what he knew.
There's and this is a good point. So it's likely going on, but they're probably using it selectively to some degree, because the reason that so here's the thing. The stuff that they talk about publicly, then they can start using it in like criminal cases, but if they don't talk about it publicly, they'll use it selectively to like locate people and then find some other reason, it's called parallel construction, to get them.
We'll continue with more on this story. The face scanning technology, maybe you haven't gone through this yet, and maybe you will coming back in the next time you leave the United States. And what if they start using it whenever you're traveling internally instead of when you're coming back in? Maybe that's the next step. Maybe face scans for everyone. Of course, it's the next step. We're coming up.
Do you wish you could do whatever you wanted in your dating and relationship life, even if you're married? Do you wish you made more money on less hours? I'm Caleb Jones, and I've taught hundreds of thousands of men how to create low-work, high-income businesses and how to date women under your terms. Come to our free webinar with a live Q&A with me so you can learn how to create location-independent income and date women the way you want. Go to alpha.freetalklive.com.
Gold has definitely been on the move recently, and there is no more secure investment historically. McIlvaney ICA has been helping people take delivery of precious metals and find storage options for decades. They've helped thousands of investors with their precious metal IRAs. Call ICA today for your free portfolio review at 800-525-9556 or download their free report online at ICAGoldSilver.com to learn how you can double your gold and silver ounces even within an IRA. 800-525-9556. ICAGoldSilver.com.
Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. local.bitcoin.com.
Does your dog itch, scratch, stink, or shed like crazy? Come to Dynavite for help. Order a 90-day supply of Dynavite. Pick up 2 bottles of Lico-Chops, get the 3rd bottle free. New improved Lico-Chops with Omega-6, Omega-3, Vitamin E, and now 6 extra direct-fed microbials. Even better for the digestive tract and immune system. And dogs love it. Try Lico-Chops. Buy 2, get 1 free. This is Henry Lukasevic for Dynavite.
DINOVITE.com.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
Live video of our key New Hampshire-based shows is streamed on DLive. Please follow and share at dlive.lrn.fm. That's dlive.lrn.fm.
It is Free Talk Live. You can bring up whatever you want here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We have the Discord call-in line rooms over at discord.lrn.fm. And in the studio tonight, you've got Ian.
And Chris.
And Vincent.
We're talking about the news that apparently face scanning technology, which has apparently been in use for people who are not necessarily U.S. citizens, maybe as of next year, due to a regulatory change, because that's all they got to do is just
the statists change Trump.
Change a few words in their regulations. They don't have to go through Congress. Not to say Congress would oppose this, but they don't have to bother with that. To just make it so that everybody coming back into the United States will be subjected to face scanning technology.
Yeah, it's interesting because, all of the terrorism has come to pass, and yet they're keep increasing the amount of draconian policies that they keep.
When you say all of the terrorism, you mean barely any terrorism?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Well, and like the terrorism that does, the terrorism that does happen, like was the Boston bombings, and the government had plenty of warning ahead of time. Right, the Russian government warned the U.S. that those two brothers were trouble, and for whatever reason, it must be that government incompetence that they did nothing about it until the bombings happened. It's the same thing with what was it in the shooting today in Pensacola. It was a Saudi Arabian.
Was it a school shooting?
No. It was at a military base.
Really?
There was a shooting by a Saudi Arabian national who was part of the Saudi Arabian military, and
really?
you wouldn't, and Ian, from being from Florida, you wouldn't guess what he was doing in the United States. He was in flight school.
Just like the terrorist.
Are you serious?
Oh yeah. Yes, I don't know. I haven't.
But wait a minute. What was he doing on a military base?
I just saw some of the well, he did the shooting on a military base. I don't know if he was an attaché, according to Representative Matt Gaetz, because I saw an article with him. I think I posted it in the in the group chat, but everyone else is covering it. So
I haven't looked at the news, so I don't know what it is.
So they don't know. At least according to the last article I saw, they don't know what he was doing there.
Well, if you learn more about it, feel free to bring it up. Let's go to the phones. We can talk more about the face scanning here. But Gene, the Christian anarchist, is on the line, and he knows a thing or two about international travel. You have regularly traveled to China over the years, Gene, and other places. I don't know if that's the reason you were calling tonight, but you're certainly welcome to comment on it.
China's probably the worst on this issue.
Go ahead, Gene.
Well, yeah, no, I called about to recognize the latest 2 people killed by the Goonerman Goon Squad. But as far as the face scanning goes, yeah, I don't think there's any way we're ever going to be able to avoid that, because current state of technology is getting to the point where just a single flat 2D picture can be with using AI converted into a 3D image that's pretty darn accurate.
It's not so much that you're going to be able to prevent it, but you can make it illegal for the government to utilize such technology. Or to take advantage of somebody else
getting them to follow any laws.
I know, but if you prevent them from being able to use the technology or take advantage of somebody else who has used the technology to investigate crime or whatever, I mean, you kind of solve that problem, and that's really where the problem lies. It's not the facial recognition technology that's the problem. It's the government's use of it that's the problem, in my opinion.
I'm all for that. If you can do it, I'm all for it.
Yeah, good luck.
Well, they have passed laws in a bunch of cities to ban it. So
what I called about was the UPS truck chase in California, where they wound up killing 2 innocent bystanders. The police came down on the people with a hail of gunfire, and I watched.
They were chasing who was chasing the UPS truck? What happened?
The police. Yeah. Now, I watched. The video is on YouTube. You can watch the whole thing.
Hold on. The
YouTube,
UPS driver was kidnapped?
Yes, and they drove the UPS truck, I believe.
Oh, wow. Okay. And so during the chase, the cops killed 2 unrelated people?
Right.
Right. There were two people that robbed a jewelry store, shot at a woman in the jewelry store and injured her, I guess.
Wow.
Then they came running out of there. They hijacked the UPS truck with the driver as a hostage.
Oh my
and then they
God.
drove on down the road for about a good 15 minutes with about 30 police cars following. Now, I did notice at one point during the chase, the police car tried to go around the front of it, and then he quickly ducked back. Now, I don't know if that's because one of the guys inside shot at the police car or because he just pointed a gun at him. But here's what's strange is the police cars are following this UPS truck pretty darn close, and you can see the back doors on the UPS truck are wide open, yet the people in the truck are not shooting the cop cars that are following them.
Mm-hmm.
So these guys are obviously not just, shooting. In fact, they may be out of ammunition by this time, but they might be pointing their guns at something at the cops, But what happens when the truck finally stops, and there's another video from a lady who was parked there, and she's got bullets hitting her car and all kinds of gunfire going off. So these stupid cops that think they're in the Wild West their cars all around. I mean, if you watch the video, you can see this is a UPS truck stopped in the middle of traffic, and these cops let off volley after volley of gunfire, killed one woman sitting in her car.
Oh my God.
Killed the poor UPS driver who was hijacked inside of his truck.
Wow.
I mean, bullets were just flying everywhere. Now, these guys, and one of the cops even got on the news and said, well, if you're not going to stop for us, then, these things happen, that kind of a nonchalant attitude, you better stop for us if you don't want other people to die. I mean,
that's
come
insane.
And this is why I don't support these people. These people they have no sense at all. They don't have a common. They
are all jacked up and, on adrenaline. They are ready to start shooting at the moment's, drop of a hat. As soon as they get the chance, man, they're ready to rock and roll. They got all kinds of guns and tanks and bombs and, dogs, and they just love bringing out the toys so they can just destroy things and get away with it. Destroy life.
They're excusing away murder for adrenaline.
Oh, no, it's not murder when they do it. It's a legal taking of life.
It's still murder.
Oh, yeah, and it's not an army. It's not an army on U.S. soil. It's peacekeepers, law enforcement. They just have rifles and body armor and anti-armor vehicles.
They stopped using that term ages ago.
Peacekeeper.
Peacekeeper to describe police officers.
Peace officer.
Yeah, peace officer. Sorry,
term.
Yeah.
So they're, and of course they say they're going to do an investigation to find out which bullets killed these people and all this stuff. But we know which bullets killed these people. Probably, like I say, the guys in the truck were either out of ammunition or whatever. These guys don't load up on ammunition. They've got a gun and they've got whatever ammunition fits
they were
in
probably,
the gun.
Needed some crack, so they went down to the jewelry store, held the place up. They didn't come in with a bandolier of ammo.
But they would need a fence in order to sell the gems, I imagine. You can't just trade it for crack. I mean, at least from what I learned from Reservoir Dogs.
You can trade some gems for crack.
Well, I know, but it's not the best exchange, right? It would be trade the gems
crack
for
users
dollars
aren't concerned
for crack.
with that. I don't know if it was crack, right? Like, I mean, the heroin, whatever it was. Drug users are incredibly desperate. Abusers, I should say, not users. Abusers, people.
But drug users usually go through people's medicine cabinets and not do.
Well, this is an unusual. This is an unusual circumstance. Maybe they owed their dealer money, and they had to pay him soon. Hey, Gene, thanks. Go ahead.
These guys had all kinds of opportunities to shoot at the cops if they had any ammunition.
And they didn't.
And the cops were right there behind them, and they didn't get shot at. So this was totally uncalled for.
Disturbing story. Thanks for bringing it up here tonight, Gene. I definitely appreciate it. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. You can join us here. It's Free Talk Live.
I can definitely say that I have found the best cryptocurrency wallet. Certainly the best named one. I'm Mark Edge, and I love the Edge wallet. I've been using it for the last few months. You can buy, sell, trade, and hold your cryptocurrency securely. I trust my holdings of all the major cryptocurrencies to Edge wallet, and you should too. No long phrases to memorize, just a username and password. Secure your freedom with Edge wallet. Get it now on Apple or Android in the App Store or at edge.app. The next generation wallet is coming from Divvy. In just a few taps, you'll be able to send, earn, spend, and exchange digital money in seconds. Send money around the globe with only a swipe. Instantly exchange between Divvy, Bitcoin, and fiat right in the mobile app and withdraw directly to your bank account. Divvy already offers the first one-tap solution for earning passive income with crypto. Multi-tiered masternodes allow everyone to partake in the network. Visit DivvyProject.org. DivvyProject.org.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com. LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agristhosting.com.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air, and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is Free Talk Live. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Make sure you get the blood sample, too, when you get your face scan, because, you know, they're just going to get more and more invasive with this stuff, where they're now going to be in 2020.
Oh, they're already pulling people over on the side of the road, forcing blood
in some states.
Yeah, in some
That's
states.
been going on for a long time, actually.
Blood from newborn babies, too. Oh, yeah, they already got it.
We talked about that more than a decade ago. It was the Utah State Police were doing blood draws on the side of the road.
Unbelievable.
This is like stuff that Alex Jones used to talk about in like the 2000s, back when he would tell the truth. And that's sort of the ironic thing. It's like all the stuff that people called him a conspiracy theorist for back then is coming true. But
I wonder what Jones is going to say about this news. You know, Al, you do a lot of coverage on Questioning Authority, which is your show on Saturday nights on LRN.FM.
I'm renaming it to Jones
Eastern.
Watch.
You do a lot of coverage of Jones, but it's interesting because you're a former fan who has become a bit of a critic of Jones, and you're right, because he has completely changed his viewpoint from being anti-police state to embracing Trump and riding around in a Bearcat with like a gun turret that he pops out of with a megaphone instead of a 50 cal.
And a sound system attached to it. Yeah, now probably because Trump came up with this, Jones like, well, if social media companies already have our profile, so why not the government?
Before we go on, I do want to let you know about local.bitcoin.com, and then we're going to get to your phone calls. No ID requirements to sign up for and use local.bitcoin.com. And what it does is allows you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash with dozens of payment methods. It's finally a global trading platform that actually respects your privacy. So buy or sell Bitcoin Cash over at local.bitcoin.com. Now remember, if you're going to sell, there are some risks involved in selling this stuff because you're dealing with anonymous people. So keep in mind, some of the payment methods are more or less risky than others. So do your due diligence and figure out which ones are which. And if you're a buyer, you're usually safer, but make sure you're buying from somebody, if you can, who you can look at their profile and see they've got some trades under their belt. They've got some experience. If you do that, you're pretty safe as a buyer at local.bitcoin.com. Let's go to Kayla. She's on the line in Tennessee listening to WGOW in Chattanooga. Hello, Kayla.
It's Taylor.
Oh, I'm so sorry. They misspelled your name, Taylor. Go ahead.
No, it's fine. The facial recognition software stuff, that's actually like, I've been through it. It's at the gate. So it's not like when you're coming back in and going through customs at the kiosk. Like,
no, that's what they're talking about here. I know what you're talking about.
What is at the gate, though?
So the gate thing is optional. It's with Delta and maybe a couple others where it's optional in quotes.
Kayla, can you tell me what your experience has been at the gate? What happens?
So, because that's where they actually say, hey, we're going to take your image and we're going to use it and use our facial recognition software. So you're actually being put in the database for future reference.
And this is the Delta's agents that are doing this, or the government goons?
It's connected to the government goons.
It's all like it's an arm.
Huh.
I mean, Delta's an arm.
Sure.
It's so basically when you go to an airport, you are giving your permission, like, hey, you've taken my picture and we're adding it to the database. So, anytime you're there, they've got your image already uploaded.
How does that make you feel?
Oh, it is, like you said, it's optional, and I didn't do it.
Okay, good. So you didn't feel like you were going to help protect the security of the nation by jumping through whatever arbitrary hoops they put in front of you?
No, I mean, privacy is kind of going by the wayside.
It is, yeah, sadly.
I feel like my face is my face, and I haven't done anything wrong, so there's no reason for anybody to compare my face to someone who's done something wrong.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm sorry, I was confused. I thought, like, they've been doing the kiosk thing with the picture for several years, and to me, I thought the gate thing was like the new thing. So I apologize for.
When you say they've been doing the kiosk thing, you mean international people coming back in, having to take their picture at a kiosk?
Yes, having to take the. Yes.
Yeah, that's been going on at least a few years because I haven't been traveling internationally for more than a few years, and it was there every year for
yeah, it's just the facial recognition part where they're basically examining a database of driver's license and things like that.
Right.
And then saying, okay, we've matched your picture that we just took with the database. Before, it was they take your picture and they basically are just having somebody manually compare it against your passport, whereas now it's going to match it against the database.
Yeah, and when you go to the gate and say, yes, geez, I'm willing to let you use my picture, you're just adding more information.
Yeah, well, that's actually, from my understanding, that's already, like, when Delta is doing that facial recognition thing at the gate, they're actually tied into the database that the government runs. So, and they're claiming that they don't store the information, they're just comparing it. So, it's kind of insane because they've already got it.
Yep,
yeah,
it's true. Kayla, any other thoughts you want to share?
Oh no, I didn't even know. I'm good, thank you.
Thanks for the call tonight. Really appreciate hearing from you and your experience.
This is why I object to driver's licenses, because that's where they get this information from.
That's the start of it. Yeah.
Yeah. They have my picture because I had a picture in New Jersey that they took, and I can't take that picture back once the state has it, and they sold it to the government. And in New Hampshire, it's kind of crazy because in New Hampshire I can opt out, and I opted out. But even in New Hampshire, I found out they didn't really delete the picture afterward anyway.
What are you gonna do? Sue them?
They're not even following their own laws.
No, they don't have to.
Yeah.
Because who's going to hold them accountable? Their own courts?
They're immune.
Right.
They're literally immune. You can't sue them even if you wanted to.
Let's go to Hoju, who is on the line. Hoju, you're on Free Talk Live. At least I presume you're there, although your mic is muted, so maybe you didn't realize that. If you do unmute the mic, then we'd love to have you. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE.
I got you, Ian.
There you are. Where are you calling from?
Pensacola, Florida, where that naval shooting was at 7 o'clock this morning, brother.
Oh, wow.
Not Sarasota, where you guys were from.
All right. So what's going on?
I just wanted to call in, know what you were talking about, the other stuff earlier, but I woke up to that this morning at 7 o'clock going to work and seeing that shooting at the Pensacola Naval Air Station.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, what the F? And if you guys seen the more information that it was a Saudi Arabian person that was here, like getting aviation trained from the U.S.
Yeah, I have a CNN article here just because Ian asked for more information. So he was a second lieutenant, which means it's not like he just happened to be in the military. He was an officer.
With the Saudi Arabian military?
Yes.
So was it one of those military expeditions where they like bring over foreign troops to train them or whatever?
Yeah.
Remember how? Go ahead.
Pensacola Naval Air Station. They've done that for multiple decades at this point, where they bring in people from all over the world to train them. And this guy was in a flight class or whatever. I don't know how he got the gun in there.
That was going to be my question. Did he take a gun from somebody who was there, or did he bring in his own gun?
They probably gave it to him.
Yeah, I don't know, but I've been on that base multiple times.
Is he dead?
15 times. He's dead. The deputy sheriff shot him.
My understanding is usually they don't, the military, like when I don't know about other.
They don't have guns on their own bases, right?
Like,
they shouldn't be allowed to, especially a student, especially from Saudi Arabia.
Only the sergeant of arms, I think, is allowed to. That in military police.
I have a cousin who's gone overseas to fight in like Afghanistan and Iraq and stuff like that, and he basically says that he has his own guns at home, but the guns that he uses over there are kept over there. Like they don't take them back and forth between the U.S. and overseas. So I presume they must have been given a gun on the base or in the class or whatever to use.
Yeah, again, from my understanding, it's that it was a Saudi Arabian national who was in Pensacola Naval Air Station in aviation training, which they've trained multiple country people to train from. But how he, regardless of how he was there, but why he had the gun there is beyond I don't even know how. I mean, maybe you guys can fill me on that. But again, I live in Pensacola, so
according,
I don't know.
So according to the CNN article, it doesn't say, at least just skimming over it, where he got the gun. They said it was a handgun, and versus, this is a Panhandle, Florida. So I mean, it's there's probably
Florida.
Probably either got it illegally or got it
Yeah, but don't they have security at the military bases? I mean, there's guards, right?
Well, yeah, but it was a handgun.
There are guards. You have to have a military ID or military passport on your card. They do have the biggest naval base.
But they're not searching people as they come into these things?
Well, the public aviation base, they don't search anybody, but he wasn't there. He was on the base in a classroom.
That's what I'm saying. You're not getting searched going onto
not
a
constantly.
military base?
No, that would take forever.
Thanks for the call tonight, Hoju. I appreciate hearing from you.
Yes, sir, Ian. Thank you, brother.
I don't know why you would need to be searched going onto a military base.
Because you might shoot somebody, I guess.
But they have guns all over the place, right?
No, they don't.
Really?
No, they don't. More coming up. Free Talk Live.
Most of you know that heart disease is the #1 silent killer in the U.S. What if I told you for just $54.95 a month you could fight against heart disease naturally? At Heart and Body Extract, we've been helping thousands of people get back to a healthier heart. Don't just take my word for it. Check out all of the success stories at hbextract.com, or to order, call 866-295-5305. That's 866-295-5305. hbextract.com. Don't risk it when you can take charge of it.
We can all agree these are troubled times, right? So do you know who's on your wireless network? Whether it's a big company selling your data or a foreign hacker, if you're not protected, everybody sees your information. That's why you need Flash Routers, a custom Wi-Fi router created for privacy. Flash Routers uses a virtual private network, or VPN, to protect your online activity from hackers, trackers, and large corporations. And not just one, but all your devices with one out-of-the-box setup. Plus, Flash Routers also enhances your wireless network performance and unlocks powerful router management tools to let you take total control of your network. Call or click Flash Routers today at 1-866-509-5817 or FLASHROUTERS.com. That's 1-866-509-5817 or FlashRouters.com. Protect your wireless home network today with Flash Routers.
This is George Norrie from Coast to Coast AM and History Channel's Ancient Aliens. We support the amazing energy, nutrition, and skincare products from Jeunesse. Jeunesse products are designed by leading doctors in their field with natural ingredients and even stem cell technology. These products help your body perform and look better. Shop Jeunesse at GCNlife.com or call 1-844-443-6637. GCNlife.com or 844-443-6637.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You bring up what you want, even in these remaining moments. We'll get you on the air with us. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We have the Discord call-in line rooms over at discord.lrn.fm. Just hop into one of those. We'll get you on the air with us. With you tonight, you've got Ian.
And Chris.
And Vincent.
And are you sick and tired of Washington politicians deciding your family's health care for you? Obamacare, they said it was going to help you with affordable health care and choices. It's turned into high-priced insurance with little choice. Duh. The team at BetterPlans.net believed there was a better way to do health insurance, and they figured it out. Call 800-714-1802. Get a fast and free quote. Plus, you can get affordable health care plans that cost hundreds of dollars less per month. The first step, however, is to become aware of how the wool's being pulled over your eyes. Download their free ebook, Dirty Little Secrets, at BetterPlans.net. See their sample pricing for plans every bit as good as the major providers' plans for as little as $145 a month for a single, and even greater savings for families and businesses. You can get access to their educational videos and a free quote, plus your free ebook, Dirty Little Secrets, at BetterPlans.net. Obamacare enrollment's deadline is December 15th, so don't delay. Visit BetterPlans.net or call 800-714-1802. Sex with a prince. She thought it was going to be wonderful, apparently. Virginia Roberts. And apparently you said, Vincent, her last name is pronounced how?
Guffrey. I've heard it pronounced as Guffrey.
So the I is silent?
I suppose.
I've been pronouncing it Guffrey, but we'll call her Virginia Roberts Guffrey. According to the New York Post, Prince Andrew's sex accuser says in a new interview that their first time in bed was quick and disgusting. Quote, "It didn't last very long. The whole thing, procedure, it was disgusting," said Virginia in the BBC interview sit-down that aired on Monday. Quote, "He wasn't mean or anything," the now 36-year-old mom of 3 said of the prince. "He got up and said thanks and walked out. I sat there in bed and felt ashamed and dirty."
So why are you doing this? I mean, seriously, if you felt ashamed and dirty, stop selling yourself for sex.
Well, hold on now. According to, at least from what I've read, she was a sex slave of
Lies.
Epstein's.
That's what they're claiming, but I'm sorry.
So you're victim blaming here, you two disgusting
I don't think she's
pigs.
a victim. I think she was a teenage girl who enjoyed getting big money to go and do the things that she was doing. She was getting paid. And if you're getting paid, you're not a sex slave. Yeah. By definition, if you are choosing to show up for work, getting yourself there, however it was, by getting into, maybe they sent her a car, and she got into the car. They didn't have men with black masks come out of a van and abduct this girl and drive her there and
she was
keep her there.
recruited.
She was recruited.
She was literally recruited
and
for
she
this
came
work.
back and came back
repeatedly.
and came back
Yep.
and flew on planes and went to islands and went to houses and apartments or wherever it was she went with this guy.
Well, I mean, these are powerful. It's not, life isn't like Grand Theft Auto where everything is this lavish big thing with people with masks and guns. I mean, these are people you don't say no to. These are very rich and powerful people.
That's bunk, dude.
Are you serious?
Absolutely, yeah.
There was a ton of girls lining up to take that job.
Not only that, no one has claimed yet, and I've seen enough stories about this Jeffrey Epstein thing, which is what we're talking about here, by the way, in case it wasn't clear. Nobody has said, this girl has not said, "I was so afraid. I thought they were going to kill my mother if I didn't show up and have sex with that man." She never said she was under duress.
Yeah.
At no point has she said that. She could tell a lie.
Well, yeah, I have a 2015 lawsuit here. This is from NY Mag. She said in the alleged victim, it hasn't been proven. I just want to point that out. See here, alleged victim Virginia Roberts Guffrey claimed in a 2015 lawsuit that she was a quote sex slave for Epstein. She was abused in his home.
This is
New York,
manipulation.
New Mexico.
It's a lie.
This
She's
is manipulation.
How do you know she's lying? I can't say either way. I'm just saying
showing
this is what
up. You're not abused if you
keep doing it.
She said
she was forced to. She was forced to
How?
go to do it. Well, I don't know. I mean, it hasn't come
if
out
she
yet.
wanted to, she could say, "I was forced because they said they would kill my family."
Right. Or I was locked in a cage, or I was handcuffed.
Have
or
you
She must. I mean, what do you think?
Things that real sex
what do you think
slaves
the
are
judge is going
actually.
to ask her that question? She's going to say, "Oh, I don't know. I made it up." I mean, I'm sure I
The
haven't been
judge
able
didn't
to
ask her a question because there was never a trial. But beyond that, she could have said these things like you're talking about.
Right.
She could have said she was held against her will. She's never said that. And a real sex slave is. The real sex slave is kept from going home.
This is manipulation of words. They're using sex slave to mean something that it doesn't.
It's an insult to a real sex slave who's actually been held against her will.
These people are despicable.
Have you ever read about sex trafficking and slavery? Because what they do, really? Then you know that what they do is pretty commonly is if a girl is, let's say, a runaway, because it's not always abduction. Sometimes it's a girl that runs away and falls in with a bad crowd or whatever. But then they find out who the girl's family is, and they threaten the girl's family. They threaten the girl, and they say, "Look, you think about running? You think about trying to get away, and we're going to kill your sister. We're going to kill your mother. We're going to kidnap your whatever it is they say, right? Like all kinds of threatening things. That's one of the reasons why these girls stay in captivity. And there is captivity for real sex slaves. This girl was going home. She was going home and then deciding to come back again and again and again. And I'm sorry, I don't buy the claims one bit. Let's go on with what she has to say. Remember, she says, well, he wasn't mean or anything. He got up and said thanks and walked out. The former Jeffrey Epstein sex slave says Epstein sex trafficked her to the prince 3 times, starting in 2001 when she was 17. Guffrey said she was instructed by Epstein's alleged fixer, socialite Ghislaine, or I've heard that Ghislaine is how it's pronounced, Maxwell, to, quote, do for Andrew what I do for Jeffrey. And that made me sick. Of course, not sick enough to stop coming to work. Quote, now this is the funniest line in the whole thing. I just didn't expect it from royalty.
Are you serious?
She thought she was going to get treated by... She thought she'd seen too many Disney movies or whatever, right? She says further, I didn't expect it from someone people look up to and admire in the royal family. And that has more to do with the worshipful mentality that these royalists, are given in the mainstream media. They're supposed to be so great, and there are betters or whatever.
Especially
well, guess what,
in the
lady?
United
He's
States.
a piece of crap.
Yeah.
One thing I find interesting is that one, she didn't. There's plenty of Jane Does against it, right? But she decided to put her name in public. And also, do any of you remember Jimmy Savile?
Yep.
So Jimmy Savile.
I didn't hear about him until afterwards.
So yeah, very few people did, and it's like a lot of the stuff that he did or allegedly did came out after he died because he was a very close friend of the royals, and so Prince Andrew is under a lot of he's all this heat for associating with Epstein, and all these people are. But that's the thing. Prince Charles described Jimmy Savile as his best friend, and no one's talking about Prince Charles because he's the one who holds the power there.
Guthrie, she said the day after she had sex with Andrew at Maxwell's London pad, Ghislaine said, quote, "You did a really good job," and pats me on the back and says, "You made him really happy," unquote. Guthrie had to briefly stop the interview at that point because she was crying. Remember, she was in London at the time, having flown across a continent or whatever, to go to this place. Guthrie said, "It was a wicked time in my life. I had just been abused by a member of the royal family." And she even goes on to say, "I wasn't chained to a sink, but these powerful people were my chains." You bitch. I mean, for you to come out and say, to try to compare yourself to someone who actually was chained to a sink. And this has happened to women who have been chained up and have been held against their will and have actually been abused.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you had to lay there while you were getting paid while some chump had sex with you.
This is a self-serving individual who's crying for the sake of, getting
the attention.
The attention, getting, it's like when the women cry, to get out of a ticket, that kind of deal,
This is making me nauseous. I mean, I used to criticize you are. Both of you are. I used to criticize these feminists when I talk about
you gonna white knight for this
when
lady?
Go ahead,
Vincent.
I'm talking about victim blame. When they talk about victim
are you
blaming.
playing
How is she a victim?
Are you playing a double advocate here? Because
I'm just saying
she was a teenage prostitute. How is that being a victim?
I'm just saying I'm taking her.
She was recruited. She was literally recruited.
I mean, she's saying that. I understand what she means.
Let him have a chance to defend this woman.
I think the vitriol I'm hearing from you two, calling her a bitch. Yeah, we're on radio. Calling her a bitch, saying thing, calling her a prostitute.
She's a liar.
How do you know she's lying?
Because she showed up again and again. That's not abuse.
She said she was being forced to show up.
No, she wasn't.
Not.
She did not say that.
She said she was trafficked. She said
people were her chains. How?
Right.
How were they
forcing
chains?
her to do it?
How?
She was literally
you got to ask her that. I mean, they have their ways.
Well, she's been on the media. She was on the BBC. Why didn't she say it?
I didn't see the interview with her on
She
the
was
BBC
literally recruited. And is she the one who actually went out and recruited other people too? Because I remember one of the girls.
I think that's Ghislaine Maxwell.
No, what happened? Oh, hold on. No. Ghislaine Maxwell was like the head of the recruiting agency or whatever. And what happened is if a girl came in and she did what she was, supposed to do and got paid or whatever, then they would tell the girl, "Hey, do you have any friends?"
Yeah.
Well, tell your friends they can make some money and we'll pay you for every friend that you recruit. They had a system and it worked.
Yeah.
And most of the people that did this, they haven't come out against him. You know why? Because they got paid and they were happy with it. And they moved on with their lives. We'll see you tomorrow night. You can join us online. In the meantime, freetalklive.com. Check out freedomdecrypted.com for more of Chris. We'll see you then.
Are you able to set your own schedule, work, play, or sleep whenever you want 7 days a week? Are you free to date whomever you want, even if you're already married? I'm Caleb Jones, and I've taught hundreds of thousands of men how to create low-work, high-income businesses and how to date women under your terms. Come to our free webinar with a live Q&A with me so you can learn how to create location-independent income and date women the way you want. Go to alpha.freetalklive.com.
Free Talk Live is now on more than 200 radio stations nationwide. We've had more than 18 million podcast downloads, and we claim millions of listens a month. We're a multimedia ad venue with print, email, web, and terrestrial radio marketing platforms. We strive to have ad packages that cater to advertisers big and small. Contact me today at mark@freetalklive.com to see what we can do for you. mark@freetalklive.com. If you're a local advertiser, contact this station. But if you can service a national audience, contact me, mark@freetalklive.com.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up at any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
The latest episode of Questioning Authority is next after the news on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is the Liberty Beat, your daily source for liberty news and activist updates. Produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. Online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow with your latest edition of the Liberty Beat. Gold is trading at $1,460, silver at $16.58, and Bitcoin is trading around $7,518. Today's prices are brought to you by InnoScale. Take off with Managed Cloud. Looking for a safe, secure way to store your important files online? Let InnoScale handle it for you. Their high availability cloud servers are the perfect solution for clients needing one or more secure, scalable servers with built-in hardware failover protection. For details, see them online at innoscale.net. In the news, in what appears set to become a series of shots heard round the world, 4 people ended up dead at the hands of police after a hijacked UPS truck led law enforcement on an erratic chase in Miramar, Florida. The deceased included 2 suspects, a UPS driver who has been identified as Frank Ordonez, as well as an innocent bystander. On Thursday, an armed robbery at Regent Jewelers in Coral Gables went awry when the silent alarm was triggered at approximately 4:15 in the afternoon. At least one woman was hurt during the robbery that escalated to the hijacking of a nearby UPS truck. The Mind Unleashed reports that officials say the 2 robbery suspects hijacked the truck, taking the driver hostage before fleeing. Disturbing footage shows police exiting their vehicles and approaching the UPS truck on foot as it came to a stop in heavy traffic. Rather than treat the incident as a hostage situation, police drew their weapons and used bystanders' vehicles as cover. The Liberty Beat is sponsored in part by Brave Botanicals. High-quality kratom and CBD at reasonable prices with excellent customer service. Brave Botanicals is activist-owned and mission-driven and believes so strongly in the power of kratom, they're giving it away for free. Just go to freeounceofkratom.com for a free ounce of kratom delivered to your door. Just pay shipping. That's freeounceofkratom.com. This is the latest edition of the Liberty Beat. Find us online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. Your news now continues. Following the release of a photo showing employees at the West Virginia Division of Corrections and Rehabilitation making a Nazi salute, several employees have been suspended, while the governor is calling for all of those involved to lose their jobs. The image, which shows over 24 trainees with basic training class number 18 posing with their right arms raised straight into the air and their faces blurred, was released Thursday by West Virginia Department of Military Affairs and Public Safety Secretary Jeff Sandy. At the top of the picture, a line of text reading, "Hail Bird," can be seen in what appears to be both a reference to their instructor and the phrase, "Hail Hitler," the words that accompanied the Third Reich-era salute. A memo was released by the Secretary shortly before the image's release that described the photo as distasteful, hurtful, disturbing, highly insensitive, and completely inappropriate, and demanded that copies of the picture be destroyed and taken out of circulation. Video footage from an immigrant detention center in Texas, obtained by ProPublica and published online Thursday, shows the final hours of 16-year-old Carlos Gregorio Hernandez Vasquez, who died while in custody, but also strongly indicates the Border Patrol agents responsible for his care lied about what happened that night. Carlos, according to the news outlet, was seriously ill when immigration agents put him in a small South Texas holding cell with another sick boy on the afternoon of May 19th. While a log kept by officers at the McAllen Detention Center in Texas says that Carlos was given wellness checks 3 times over the course of 4 hours during the overnight, the video footage reveals that his seemingly lifeless body remained where it was, on the floor by the cell's toilet, from approximately 1:30 in the morning until his cellmates discovered him waking up past 6 a.m. Support for the Liberty Beat comes from the Conscious Resistance Network, featuring videos, news reports, and articles from a spiritual anarchist perspective. Experience the Conscious Resistance at theconsciousresistance.com. How would you like to have your business featured on the Liberty Beat? You can. Just send an email to libertybeat@snls.news for details. This is the Liberty Beat, produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. The Liberty Beat is online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow, reporting for the Liberty Beat, reminding you, spread liberty with a smile.
His name is Osimo. Honda has unveiled its new human-like robot that the team says is designed to run a non-competitive half marathon and then smugly brag about it afterwards. Project leader Kenji Saito calls the robot very aggravating, adding, quote, "We knew how to create a robot that could run great distances at high speeds. The challenge was to build a bot that would be impressed with its own minor achievement. The robot even believes it could run a full marathon if it wanted to, but it's just doing this to stay in shape and have some fun.
If I wanted to, I probably could have played college football."
Aiming to make the android as realistically human as possible, scientists installed sensors to register derisive comments and eye rolls from annoyed coworkers as genuine interest in its self-centered blathering. The team noted that the irritating robot could be useful in medical fields as well. Already, Osimo has pestered scientists into sponsoring it to run a 5K in Cape Cod this summer. To date, it's raised over $700 for leukemia research.
This is the Onion News Network.
All right, welcome back, everyone. It is so good to be back here on this Saturday night. You're listening to Questioning Authority Live, and I have to specify live because there is a rerun that I wasn't aware of. I believe it's at this time on Fridays. But anyway, so this is a Questioning Authority Live. Unfortunately, I had to miss last Saturday's episode. Well, actually, not really. Unfortunately, it was a good occasion and a good reason why I had to miss it, because I had my the premiere. Right, it was the first time, the world premiere, the first time that this play I was in was ever performing, and so that means when the writer / director, I mean, she was pretty much the director, but it was when the writer publishes the story, my name is going to be in the original cast. So that's pretty cool. So I got a very, very, very topical, back to the QA basics, instead of, just doing a constant, sort of like variety stuff. I just have more news. I'm going to begin with international news. Well, I'm going to get into international news. Going to be talking about the Israeli settlements and how now that, the U.S. decision to recognize them or look the other way or whatever is just going to make things worse there. Going to be talking about the French farmers fighting back against Macron and the cosmopolitan French elite. Going to be talking about speaking of the cosmopolitan elite, going to be talking about Michael Bloomberg and how the questions his candidacy raised about democracy. Stefan Molyneux clears the air on some things many people had some questions about regarding Molyneux. Let's see here. My British Muslim communist Wafu questions a two-party duopoly, so that's good. But first, I wanted to focus on the Beltway. I want to focus on Washington, D.C. Now, there's a restaurant that I've been hearing a lot about, and also your calls and thoughts on discord.lrn.fm or 603-283-6160. Open phones during the entire show. So there's this restaurant I keep hearing called the Capitol Grill. The Capitol Grill. And so that's where allegedly all of these politicians would congregate together, right? It's after, it's where Republicans and Democrats go to celebrate screwing over the American people. And so now I'm just going to go over menus. So first of the appetizers. So the appetizer, and I'm just going to do this for the first segment. Fresh oysters on the half shell. So you get 6 oysters, served with ice on mignonette sauce, $21. $21 for 6 fucking oysters. Oh, how much is a shrimp cocktail, right? Shrimp cocktail, so 5 shrimp, jumbo shrimp served with our spicy house-made cocktail sauce, $20. This is insane. No wonder taxes are so high. They have to pay for all this fucking food. So then, that's just the appetizers. $12 for a quote New England clam chowder in DC. French onion soup, $12. That's actually rather average. I mean, for like a high-end place. $17 for a heirloom tomato salad. And the chef's suggestion, sliced filet mignon with cipollini, onions, wild mushrooms, probably not the kind we're thinking of, and fig essence, a rich twist on our popular classic filet mignon, $39. $40 on just one meal, on one entree. Same here with salads. See here, lobster and crab burger with house tartar sauce, $27. And, let's see. Do they have any... Maybe that's why we're always upset. They don't have any desserts or anything. But, okay, so they do. They have seafood, cocktail, timeout. Here we go. They have desserts. I'm just going to check this out. Creme brulee, $12. All right. So, anyways, that's average. Now, I always wondered what these people eat. So, next, now we have here Kamala Harris aide says in the resignation letter, I have never seen an organization treated staff so poorly. And I remember quite a few months ago, people were saying that Kamala Harris was going to be Harris Biden or Biden Harris, right? Where Biden was going to extend an olive branch to Kamala Harris, so that this Democrats could have what some people would said is the only winning ticket against Trump, where you have quote moderate for Democrats, establishment politician Joe Biden as a presidential ticket. Then you have quote radical, progressive, whatever you want to call her. Cop, right? Officer Kamala Harris. Not that she was a police officer, but I mean, she certainly helped the cops when she worked as a prosecutor, sending all these peaceful drug users to jail. Oops, gotta stop doing that. And there seemed to be at least a lot going behind, support behind her, a lot of momentum, especially when she called out Joe Biden for being against busing, right? Forced busing in school districts, even though that, Biden said that the African Americans of his district didn't want it. So, but that got her a lot of headlines, a lot of press. She was able to sell a T-shirt that had a picture of her as a child on it. But it looks like things are falling apart. She's abandoned, or last I saw in the news, the Harris campaign has abandoned New Hampshire. That all of their campaign offices and headquarters here are being run by a skeleton crew, which is very interesting. It's like they're the Democrats have to wage a different campaign. Like you hear Michael Bloomberg isn't going to be campaigning in Iowa, New Hampshire. I think he's going to go with South Carolina. But anyway, so I digress. So now this seems to be just another nail in Kamala Harris's campaign's coffin here. You have an aide. And this is on The Hill, right? TheHill.com. It's not like it's InfoWars or Drudge or Breitbart or anything. This is The Hill. And it begins, an aide to Senator Kamala Harris blasted the treatment of staff on the California Democrats' presidential campaign in a resignation letter this month. Quote, this is my third presidential campaign, and I have never seen an organization treat its staff so poorly, wrote State Operations Director Kelly Mellenbacher in November 11th letter, which was obtained by the New York Times. While I still believe that Senator Harris is the strongest candidate to win in the general election in 2020, I no longer have confidence in our campaign or its leadership, she added. I wonder if she's only saying that just so she doesn't, so she's still able to find work in some other campaign. Because, I mean, I don't see how anyone could. I guess you have to be really deluded. I know, I can't say I'm friends with, but I'm familiar with some people on the Warren campaign, and they're like, it's like a cult. It's like a cult of personality. I mean, it's sort of like Trump, I guess. Sort of like a Trump in 2016, maybe even more so in 2020. I mean, the man, the dumbass in chief, hasn't really been doing any, when I say hardcore campaigning, I don't mean going to do all the rallies. There's going to be a new rally in Hershey, Pennsylvania on the 10th, which I won't be able to go, but it would have been interesting just because I have family in Pennsylvania I'd want to visit. But, yeah, I I guess that just sounds like a diplomatic fluffing there. She wrote that, quote, "The treatment of our staff over the last 2 weeks was the final straw in this very difficult decision. It is not acceptable to me that we encourage people to move from Washington, D.C. to Baltimore only to lay them off with no notice and no plan for the campaign, and without thoughtful consideration of the personal consequences to them or the consequences that their absence would have on the remaining staff," Mellenbacher said in her letter. "It is unacceptable that we lay off anyone that we hired only 2 weeks earlier. It is unacceptable that with less than 90 days until Iowa, we still do not have a real plan to win." Okay, so then how does she have the strongest prospects? What does she say? Strongest candidate if she doesn't have a plan, if she's laying off people after like just weeks after hiring them. Quote, "Our campaign for the people is made up of diverse talent, which is being squandered by indecision and, quote, a lack of leaders who lead," she continued. Mellenbacher's resignation becomes effective Saturday. Meanwhile, Representative Marcia Fudge, D. Ohio, who was she the woman who said that it should be illegal to make fun of Senator? I think it was. I think she was the one who said it should be illegal to make fun of politicians. And you might not believe me, but if it is her, I'll pull it up. And if it's not her, I will pull up the audio soon. Who has endorsed terrorists, criticized some top aides, and called for the firing of campaign manager Juan Rodriguez in an interview with The Times. Quote, "I've told her there needs to be a change," Fudge said. "The weakness is at the top, and it's clearly Juan. He needs to take responsibility. That's where the buck stops." The newspaper noticed that Harris declined to be interviewed. Well, naturally. Says, all right, so we're working Orange Man bad. Just like every campaign, we have made tough decisions to have resources we need in place in Iowa and springboard into the rest of a primary calendar. Yeah, not New Hampshire. And here it says, Harris's campaign staff has cut New Hampshire and Baltimore, cut staff in New Hampshire and Baltimore in recent weeks, and redeployed others to Iowa. The senator has also recently struggled to gain momentum in the polls. She is among more than a dozen people running in 2020 Democratic presidential nomination. So it looks like she's going to make a stand in Iowa. And if she doesn't, let's see, maybe like what, the top 3 in Iowa, which I don't know, it could be anywhere near Warren, Buttigieg, Biden, whoever. I mean, if she doesn't get Iowa, I don't know what's going to happen to her. So this is Questioning Authority. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
There is no such thing as attention span, according to Jerry Seinfeld, who figures that people have an infinite attention span if you are entertaining them. Hey, he's kept us from channel surfing for several decades, and now he's making more millions as a Las Vegas headliner. With money and attention so scarce now, effective communication skills have never been more important, especially if you're looking for work. So choose every single word as though it was the last word the person you're speaking to will hear. Otherwise, it might be. Avoid redundancies such as added bonus, advance warning, end result, prior history, or personal belongings. And avoid cliches like the plague. Just kidding. For more tips, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
All right, welcome back, everyone. This is Questioning Authority Live, and so I see, who what used to be known as Free Market Penguin, but now is known as Dissident in the in the chat, and actually, due to popular demand, actually he fell asleep in the back here. He's not going to be on the air because of reasons I'm about to get into, but, Teddy is here for moral support, so a mortified penguin, Teddy decided to come. He won't, unfortunately, he won't be saying anything on the show because, several reasons. One, he's a Bitcoin maximalist, and and he's gonna and no matter, the first thing he's gonna do is shit talk Roger Ver and Bitcoin Cash, and Ian says that he might try and crash the market. So unfortunately, he's not allowed to say anything on the network, as well as virulent anti-Semitism on Teddy's part. So, anyways, but Teddy's just gonna be here, and he's gonna observe. So, yeah. To go into. Teddy says hi too. So, anyways, all right. Before we have too many people tuning out now, I'm gonna finish talking about Kamala Harris here. Oh yeah, and so it wasn't who I thought it was. It was not. I thought it was Marcia Fudge, a Democrat from Ohio representative, who said that people who make fun of members of Congress should be prosecuted. It was someone by the name of, let's see here, what was it? Frederica Wilson from of all places, Florida, right? Because tons of freedom comes out of Florida. So anyways, and for anyone who's unfamiliar, this is what she said.
Those people who are online making fun of members of Congress are a disgrace. And there's no need for anyone to think that is unacceptable. We're going to shut them down and work with whoever it is to shut them down, and they should be prosecuted. You cannot intimidate members of Congress, threaten members of Congress. It is against the law, and it's a shame in this United States of America.
Oh shit! It's against the law to make fun of people, Ian. I gotta stop. Or no, excuse me, not make fun of people. Make fun of members of Congress.
Wait, was she saying? She said two different things.
Yeah.
She said they were being made fun of, and then she said it's illegal to threaten.
Yeah,
and it is illegal to threaten.
Oh, absolutely. Oh yeah, it is.
So what was she referring to?
So according to Snopes, which is an equivocator's paradise full of bullshit, they say that she was referring to one of these Facebook groups of ICE agents who, like, I didn't see it. Allegedly, in the Facebook group, they were threatening members of Congress, when really it could just be, I mean, what I think it is, and I don't have all the facts on it, but either way, she's, first off, she's wrong, but secondly, I think what it was like they made some memes that were like maybe of her getting thrown out of a helicopter or something, which isn't threatening. It's making fun of, certainly. And I mean, if they were threatening her, then yeah, she would be right. But that's not what she said. She said making fun of. So, I mean, I don't care if Snopes is like, oh, Vincent's lying about this. Well, no. because she said making fun of. And I just think it's important to point that out. And that's like, it was probably a Freudian slip, or not a Freudian slip. It was probably a slip on her part because, yeah, they also think they don't give a shit about getting threatened because they have, cops, they have feds, they have Secret Service protecting them, they have private security protecting them, they have gated neighborhoods protecting them. But what's really dangerous to them is getting made fun of. Because then people stop respecting them. They stop listening to them, right? If someone went up and killed her, she'd become a martyr. She'd become way more useful to the establishment dead than she was alive. And that's, obviously, it's, murder is wrong. It's awful. It's a sin. And, but making fun of them on the other hand. And so that's why it's, those who you're not allowed to criticize are the ones in charge. And if we're not in charge yet, we're going to try and make sure you're not allowed to criticize them. Oh, yeah, and so anyone who wants to call in, 603-283-6160 and discord.lrn.fm to join in on the on-air call-in lines. Let's see here. Yeah, tip.lrn.fm if you'd like to get a message across, you want to support the show, support the network. Make sure I could get Teddy a nice pot of honey for being here tonight. So that's tip.lrn.fm. So I'm going to finish this Kamala Harris article. So now, I already did finish it. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about the Israeli settlements that Trump has endorsed. We're going to name one after him. We're going to call it Trump Heights. Absolutely sick. So this is from MintPressNews.com, which is run by a Muslim woman of color. So here, I'm getting my diversity quota in for the show of the news I cover. So it's from Mint Press News. It's an opinion and analysis. It's written by a guy named Ramzi Baroud. And it was published for 27th, and it's titled, Israel's Next Move, a Real Danger in U.S. Decision to Normalize Illegal Jewish Settlements. U.S. foreign policy regarding the Israeli occupation has become a mere rubber stamp that allows Israel's extreme right-wing government to single-handedly determine the fate of the Palestinian people. It is hardly shocking that the United States government has finally decreed that illegal Jewish settlements which have been built in defiance of international law are somehow, quote, consistent with international law. And, when they say Jewish, it's very interesting because even though despite claims that anyone could become a citizen of Israel, Israel really is an ethno-state. It's an ethno-state for, any group calling itself Jewish. Because it was, it was made, and it's funny, going through just a purely racial lens, the foundation of Israel is like a European colonialist endeavor, right? You have light-skinned Europeans coming into the Middle East and displacing the local, sort of brown-skinned population, right? And, and I'm not saying that's what it is. I'm just saying that that's, going through that lens, it matches up with, the colonization of Australia, colonization of Africa, colonization of the Americas. And so when I say Jewish, it doesn't really mean saying Jewish in the sense that all of these people are devout Jews and worship, observe the Sabbath and everything. It's just that that's what they call themselves. Israel proudly refers to itself as the Jewish state, the first Jewish state. Similar to how people refer to the Palestinians as Arabs, when really, they're, I guess, the region, they call themselves as Palestinian or whatever, but people just refer to them by their ethnic component. So. It is hardly shocking that the United States government has finally decreed that illegal Jewish settlements which have been built in defiance of international law are somehow consistent with international law. U.S. foreign policy has been edging closer towards this conclusion for some time. Since his advent to the White House in January 2017, President Donald Trump has unleashed a total and complete reversal of his country's foreign policy regarding Palestine and Israel. Let us not have any illusion regarding the American approach to the so-called Israeli-Palestinian conflict prior to Trump's presidency. The U.S. has never, not even once, stood up for Palestinians or Arabs since the establishment of the State of Israel over the ruins of historic Palestine in 1948. Moreover, Washington has bankrolled the Israeli occupation of Palestine in every possible way, including the subsidizing of the illegal Jewish settlements. And mind you, this is why the United Nations was created. I mean, also first, for the League of Nations before it, its predecessor, it was At least the way it was taught to me in, American public school, in my social studies or civics or whatever they called it class. But the United Nations was created so instead of using violent conflict, the nations of the world could use negotiations. And it was supposed to make war illegal, right? Where France can't just decide and say, I want the rest of the Strasbourg region and attack Germany. But that's obviously not what the United Nations is about, because there's been plenty of wars. There's been plenty of illegal wars that they haven't been doing anything about. There's been plenty of genocides. And not that I'm a supporter of the United Nations, but the Rwandan genocide, I read the book. It's called Shake Hands with the Devil. It's by Romeo Dallaire. He was a Quebecois soldier who was there part of the peacekeeping force. The UN very well could have, and the United States, prevented that genocide without killing or destroying anything, but they didn't. So why do we have the UN? Oh, just to facilitate corruption and have the placeholder for the satanic Antichrist world government. This is Question Authority. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Free Talk Live, the show where anyone can call about whatever they want. And we do mean anyone.
Jesus Christ visited every tribe in America.
In America?
She's in America, absolutely. There's a book that came out.
He got around, didn't he?
He was in India.
How did he
China.
get from point A to point B?
He had quite a life.
In a boat.
So they took a boat from the Middle East all the way over to North America?
Absolutely. Archaeologists went and visited different tribes and followed their myths and stuff. And none of them used the name Jesus, but they all described him as a white man with long brown hair and a beard.
Why is it that Jesus is white? That's what I want to understand.
How did a white guy get born to a bunch of Sephardic Jews, is what I want to know.
No.
Well, God's white, so I mean, that's how.
Of course he is.
Was the Immaculate Conception. He could make that baby whatever color he wanted to.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
The political world is a maddening cesspool of corruption and lies. Nobody tells the truth. Nobody keeps campaign promises. Nobody obeys the Constitution. Nobody puts the people first. How can we ever escape this web of tyranny? Vote for nobody.
Hi, my name is Nobody. I'm running for governor of New Hampshire because nobody knows how to live your life better than you do, and nobody deserves that kind of power. I want to put you back in control of your money, your lifestyle, your work, your body, and your life. Nobody should rule you but you. New Hampshire convicts many people of so-called crimes that should never have been prosecuted. If elected, I will pardon every victimless crime in New Hampshire history. This includes drug, gambling, prostitution, gun, and driving offenses. Nobody should have a criminal record when they have not harmed anybody.
Wouldn't it be nice to have nobody telling you what to do? Learn more at electnobody.com. electnobody.com.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it. Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
All right, welcome back. This is Questioning Authority Live, and so I'm just going to do some, go to a chat room here. This chat's been active, so Smelly Onion Man on Twitch. Hell yeah, it's QA. Hell yeah, man, it's good to be back. Thank you for listening. We have here on, we have a new follower here on the